You can measure the size of an elephant. You can clock the speed of a cheetah, but you can't quantify the heart of a kings, queens, and in-betweens. Welcome to Dr. Boxing Talk. Stream starts now.
The champ is here! 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 The champ is here!
If I tell you I'm good, probably you will say I'm boasting. If I tell you I'm no good, you know I'm lying.
Yo. What is good, everybody? What is good? Brethren and sistren, man. Sistren and brethren. Get my stuff together. Y'all know what time it is, man. The doctor's in the house. Yes, sir. We got King Illuminati, aka Jesus is King, aka Rello, aka MJ in the building. What's good, brethren? God bless you, bro. We got King James Daly, aka the man down under, aka the man Mr. Aussie Boxing. You know what I'm saying? Come away from Australia, King James Daly in the building. What's good, brethren? Appreciate y'all joining, man. We had a late night, you know. We always got late nights though. Late nights or early mornings, you know how it goes. Off the rip, man. Y'all know y'all gotta don't forget to like the video, but most importantly, man, please join me in prayer, man, and let's try to start this day off on the right foot. Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for letting us wake up to see another beautiful day, Lord. Please continue to bless the remaining of our days and take advantage of our days too, Lord, and not let us and help us to not take time and days and loved ones and blessings for granted. You know, I know sometimes it's easier said than done. Sometimes we get so focused on our expectations or so caught up in our daily lives and activities that we forget to just smell the flowers, look up at the sky, and just appreciate and bask in the amazing, wonderful blessings that we have and beautiful aspects of nature and life in general, and look at our family and our loved ones and just appreciate them and tell them that we love them, and forget about the petty things that we might get into that we will forget about a month from now, a year from now, 10 years from now. It won't even matter, you know. And just give us also the strength and the faith in you to pursue our dreams, Lord. And even when we go through the mud and go through the tough times and go through the valleys, to remember that as long as we keep you first, that we will reach the peak as well. And we will remain at the peak because that's your intention, Lord, to deliver us from evil and keep us safe and holy, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. One time for faith, one time for God, two times for God. Mike in the building. Yo, we got King Mike Mazik in the building, man, on the early tip. What's good, brethren? So today, man, I have there's some things I want to talk about, but I try my best to make the show in the morning, like the topics and stuff before I call it a night. But this is one of the days that I wish I wouldn't have, right? I mean, I can always adjust it, but I actually like the topic, to talk about Christian Mbilli. But man, there's some things that happened last night. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning Eastern Standard Time. I'm talking about late last night. That last night, it was So first off the gate, man, we got Mr. Devin Hanky Panky. He's talking about giving somebody a spanky. He's saying that he's gonna return. He's teasing the return. He did not offer a date, did not offer an opponent. An opponent did not offer a locale, but he said, that he's coming back. He said he's been gone from the game too long, and it's time to shake up boxing again. So I think that's good news. Obviously those of you that are unfamiliar, last time we saw him he was on the wrong end of a butt whooping, but it was due to his opponent Ryan Garcia cheating. There's a lot of people on the internet that love to push an agenda, push misinformation, and but the fact of the matter is that he cheated. Whether he cheated intentionally, whether he cheated purposefully, whether he cheated accidentally, that's up for debate. What's not up for debate is the fact that he had an illegal substance, a banned PED. To add further specificity, it was ostarine, and it was in the system, and they even had a measurement. The quantity was 0.6 nanograms per milliliter, and the allowable threshold that the New York State Athletic Commission allows. New York State Athletic Commission is important because they fought in New York. The allowable threshold is 0.1 nanograms per milliliter, so it's 0.1 billionth of a gram. So when people say billionth of a gram, it's really a nanogram. That's what a nanogram is. So people are just trying to make it sound even smaller than it is. It's like when you say a milligram, no one says a thousandth of a gram. They just call it a milligram because they're trying to manipulate the information. And his lawyer, who has since been fired, is the one that started that billionth of a gram nonsense. So he was at 6 nanograms per milliliter. The threshold is 0.1, so he was 60 times the legal limit. So Devin Haney was the victim of someone cheating. I put money on Ryan Garcia because I thought stylistically Ryan Garcia would beat Devin Haney. I just didn't know that he was going to cheat to do it. And so whenever somebody cheats, like I said, it's not about doing it on purpose. Ryan Garcia could have did it accidentally. I don't think he did, because all the lies that have transpired subsequently since he was caught, it just leads to one to believe with any common sense that he's trying to desperately cover up his misstep once he'd been exposed. But he could have did it accidentally. But once again, it's not about whether you did it purposefully or accidentally. It's the fact that it's presence. The fact that it's present in your system quantifies you as a cheater, according to the rule books. I don't make the rule books. That's just what it is. So anybody else arguing otherwise is just trying to, either they love Ryan Garcia too much, which is very suspicious of a grown man, or they hate Devin Haney so much, which is also suspicious of a grown man to hate a stranger so much. It's one of the two. So anybody else saying anything else besides the fact that Ryan Garcia cheated, they're lying, and what further proves the point that he cheated or he had a PD in the system is the fact that the ruling, because Ryan Garcia won according to the judges, it was overturned. It doesn't get overturned unless something transpired to the point of cheating. Now, like I said, it's not about whether he did it purposefully or not. It's about it being present. So negligence is not a liable excuse to exempt you from the cheating label. So so Devin Haney was a victim of that. Now, and to even reinforce that, it doesn't have to be a PED. It could be any banned substance as long as the substance is banned. Case in point, Keyshawn Davis beating Ahir Albright in Texas, right? But during the day of the fight and the lead up to the fight, he tested positive for marijuana. Marijuana is not even a PED. but Keyshawn Davis won, and then the ruling was overturned by the Texas Athletic Commission. Why? Because he had a banned substance in his system, which was marijuana. So when people say that, oh, well, the Ostarine wasn't even a good drug to use, it was the worst one, it doesn't matter, because you can still get your ruling overturned like Keyshawn Davis did when the substance is not even an enhancing drug, a performance enhancing drug. So like when people just make up stuff, man, is they either don't know their research, they're ignorant, and they're trying to manipulate the information that's being put out, or a combination of all three. So just be careful where you receive your information from. It has nothing to do with hating on anybody or loving on anybody. It's about telling the truth. You know, Cinnamon, I like Cinnamon. Cinnamon cheated when he had clenbuterol in the system. But the difference is Cinnamon didn't test positive for any banned substance on the day of the fight. He tested positive for a banned substance during training camps. So if you remember, that's why Triple G and Canelo was originally slated for May, like he likes to fight on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, and it got pushed back to September because he took it to court and he won his appeal, and the suspension was reduced to 3 months. Same thing with Alicia Bumgarner. She didn't test positive on the day of the fight. She didn't test positive on the day after. She didn't test positive on the day before. She tested positive some weeks before. So for the banned substance, so she was clean on the day of the fight, which is why her decision wasn't overturned. So when people say these things, oh, why wasn't this decision overturned? It's because they don't know the whole story, and all this information is free on Google. I made a video about it and showed everybody. So, but yeah. So anyway, Haney is coming back. My boy Mike, yes sir, yeah, facts. I don't know why people are afraid to say that. You know, it's not that they're afraid to say it, it's because they have ulterior motives. And you know, if you're going to be a part of the boxing media or any type of information entity that's providing information to the public, I feel like you have a responsibility to not only get things right, but try to get things right. And try to be honest, and no, be honest. Don't try to be honest. Be honest. We all make mistakes. That happens. I make mistakes. But when you're intentionally manipulating a narrative to push a certain agenda or protect personal interests, then I think that you know, it is what it is, man. But whatever. But yeah. So let's get right to it. So Devin Haney has announced a return. He has not announced an opponent. I think that he will be fighting probably Mario Barrios. A lot of people are speculating that he's going to move up to 147. He has kind of said that before. A lot of people are thinking maybe he might try to, you know, reclaim his belt, or I won't say reclaim it because he's champion of recess, right? I guess, yeah, reclaim it, but not through fighting. I mean, reclaim it by returning and saying, hey, that's mine. And I guess that would set him up with a fight between the Alberto Puello and Sandor Martin winner. But then again, Gary Antoine Russell, who just lost to Alberto Puello, they said that he's the mandatory for that winner. So I'm not really sure how that goes. So I don't want to get to lying to you because I don't like providing misinformation. And I'm very honest. If I don't know something, I don't mind saying I don't know. But so I'm curious to see how that works. Or maybe they're fighting for, even though they call him the champion right now, maybe they will be downgraded to the interim champion once Devin Haney makes his official return, and he'll be reenacted or relisted as a super champion. I'm not sure how that works. I'm gonna be honest. So I would assume that he would keep his position as a super champion, but then, yeah, I don't know. I guess the other guy, Alberto Puello and Sandor Martin, would be downgraded back to interim champion. I'm not sure. But yeah, so we have that. So that's news with Devin Haney, and then and then this is not. I mean, it's funny to me, but Imaine Khalif, you know, the Olympian from Algeria who won gold. Shout out to her. You know, she has also filed a lawsuit in regards to cyberbullying. You know, those of you that are unfamiliar, you know, it was a controversial decision to include a fighter in Imaine Khalif from Algeria, and I can't remember the Taiwanese boxer as well. But they were the controversy stemmed from them being allowed to compete in the Olympics by the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, in Paris. And the controversy arise because last year the IBA had a tournament and the International Boxing Association, and they excluded them. They did not allow them, saying that they did not categorize as a female to the point to where it would be fair for the other women to compete. But then the IOC said that they did this year. So there was controversy, whether you agree with it or not. She is a naturally born woman. They proved that, documented that she was born a woman. Now, if you wanna argue or debate whether or not she has characteristics like an XY chromosome or excessive testosterone, that that would disqualify her to compete against other women of more typical characteristics. And that's another conversation. You know, she might have an advantage, but to say that she's a man without the appropriate information is wrong, you know. And I think that we should make sure that we're fighting the right battle, the appropriate battle, the battle at hand, and not get caught up in just being angry because you hear somebody say something without fact checking. You know, that's part of being an adult. An adult is accountability. And speaking of accountability, this is what the lawsuit intends, to make sure people are held accountable. And so the people that are listed in her lawsuit, some of the people are most notably Elon Musk, you know, the guy that runs Tesla, the guy that also runs Twitter, and the guy that pushes a lot of agenda things. But I think Elon Musk is a beast, me personally, because he's a mechanical engineer like your boy, you know. And so I like Elon Musk from a creative mind, innovation, industry standpoint. But he says a lot of wild stuff, and he jumps the gun sometimes. Like, we all do, but you got to be a little more responsible, especially when you have a large influence. And then also the other person that was cited is J.K. Rowling, who is you know, most notably popular for her Harry Potter books, right? She's the author of Harry Potter. So they were listed in the lawsuit, and the lawsuit is going after all the influential people that were cyberbullying her. And you know, I think it's right. I don't know if she's gonna win. I don't really care if she's gonna win, but I think people should be held accountable for their actions, and especially when you are pandering to an agenda, when you are pushing misinformation. I think that we should see more of this. You know, whether you agree with Khalees's participation or not, the fact is people were pushing misinformation. Even if you agree with the misinformation that was being pushed, like, for example, I agree with it. If you're saying that transgenders should not compete against naturally born women or naturally born men, especially in a fighting sport, I agree, but that's just not applicable here. You know, that's not the same situation. People just jump the gun because not only do they not want to know all the information, they're lazy. They're too lazy to even find out, you know. And but they're excited to just spread information just to get clicks and likes, so, you know, and get attention for themselves. Is really a selfish act, but in my personal opinion. So whether it was somebody in the boxing space that was denouncing this woman without the proper information, whether it was somebody in the political space, whether it was somebody in the entertainment space, I think that they should be held accountable, man, because they were wrong, and that's very dangerous, you know. So a lot of people get hurt due to misinformation. So I don't mind you punishing somebody, or I don't mind somebody getting backlash. But if they're going to get backlash, if they're going to be punished, if they're going to be canceled, if they're going to be drugged through the mud, at least make sure that the person isn't innocent of what you're accusing them of. You know, I've always felt that way. Like, even if somebody falsely accuses somebody of a crime, then I think if they find out that person was innocent, and that person was just the accuser was just doing something maliciously or with a nefarious intent, and they were lying, then I think whatever potential punishment that the person was going to get, the liar, once you find out they're lying, I think they should get that. So that's just what I feel. I feel like there should be more accountability when you're crying wolf, in my personal opinion. But hey, Doc, do you use AutoCAD? Yeah. Not 3D Studio Max, but I use AutoCAD, MATLAB, MathCAD. Another CAD program I use is Console Multiphysics. Yeah. I haven't used it in a while though. AutoCAD's more so for 2D, but of course you can do 3D stuff in there too. But I mostly use I don't know if you're familiar with Creo, formerly known as Pro E. I use that for CAD as well, and also SolidWorks. Yo, Smoochie in the building. Okay, and then so now let's get to the meat and potatoes, man. So yeah, that's just my opinion on that. What do y'all think about the lawsuit or the pending lawsuit? Like I said, I think it's appropriate, man. I think anytime somebody spreads misinformation, they should be, and once it's found out, they should be held accountable. I don't even care if they're part of CNN. I don't care if they're part of the NBA. I don't care if they're part of the DOD. I don't care if they're part of the what's it called, the YouTube boxing community, YTBC. I don't care what it is, man. Whatever you were doing, if you're purposefully misleading people and to the detriment of another, you should be held accountable for whatever it is. That's what's up, Smoochie. Yeah, in high school, yeah, I've used it. I used AutoCAD all the way up to college, and like you said, for architecture and things like that, and for building plans and structures and mostly statics though, right? Like, you know, like you said, buildings. And when it comes to dynamics, you want to use more something that's more focused on like 3D modeling. So like something like SolidWorks or Pro E, where you could design things that are by dynamics. Those of you unfamiliar, so statics means anything that doesn't move. So like a house would be like a static structure. Anything that's dynamic is moving, right? So like something that has moving parts, like an engine or a car or a truck, you know, or automobile, that's considered a dynamic structure because it moves. Even a bridge, right? A bridge is static sometimes, but what happens when the wind? You have to account for like wind blowing or cars driving on it, so it has that momentum. I mean the mobility, even though it's limited mobility, it's still mobility. So that's considered a dynamic structure or semi-dynamic structure. And if you make it static and it doesn't move, then that bridge will. I mean, all bridges fail, but because due to crack propagation and stuff like that, that's why you have to have yearly engineers go out there and check and make sure everything's good and mitigate the crack propagations and the failures. But you know, if you make it static, it'll fail a lot sooner. But anyway, but that's what's up with you out there using AutoCAD. All right, so let's get to what I want to talk about here, man. The main topic, that was just some stuff that I saw last night, as far as Devin Haney and the main Khalif, you know, that controversy over there, both controversial topics. So let's get to Christian Mbilli, man. Christian Mbilli will be fighting the veteran Sergiy Derevyanchenko, aka SD. He'll be fighting him on August 17th, which is this Saturday in a couple days, right? Or a few days, 3 days rather. And Christian Mbilli, those of you unfamiliar with him, I know a lot of people not too familiar with him. He's one of the contenders, or he's more than a prospect now, right? He's one of the contenders at 168. He's a young contender, but he's still a contender. He fights out of the Frenchman. He fights out of Canada, Quebec, and me personally, I think he's like the 7th best in the 168-pound division. You know, he's still proving himself. But Ring Magazine, which I just dropped a video about Ring Magazine, they actually had him number 1 and at 168. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Canelo has a Ring Magazine belt. Yeah, and Christian Mbilli's number 1. I was surprised at that. And then, like my boy James pointed out, you know, in the 154-pound division, there's no champion right now. But Terrence Crawford's number 1. But in the 140-pound division, you know, Teofimo has a Ring Magazine belt. So, you know, it depends on when they establish their rankings. I believe that the Ring Magazine belt usually goes to the person that's either been there for a substantial amount of time as a champion, or been undisputed, or has, you know what I'm saying, established their reign. So, you know, Terrence Crawford at 154 is relatively new, just up to 2 weeks ago, right? And then, of course, Jermell Charlo had the Ring Magazine at 154, but he's inactive, so I understand him not being there. And, you know, in 168, Canelo's undisputed, and he's been there for a while. So I believe he's a champion for the Ring Magazine belt. But Christian Mbilli, like I said, he's ranked number 1 in the Ring Magazine. I wouldn't rank him that high. But when you consider the things, though, right, because David Benavidez is no longer 168, so he's gone because he's 175. David Morrell is no longer 168. He's gone. He's 175. So I would assume that those two people would be above Christian Mbilli. But me personally, so I can understand him being number 1. But me personally, I would have Jaime, even though Jaime Munguia lost to Canelo, it's not like Christian Mbilli. I don't think most people would think that Christian Mbilli would beat Canelo. You know, it's just that he hasn't lost. And to me, in my personal opinion, I don't think that losing to somebody that's great is worse than not fighting somebody great at all. So no disrespect to Christian Mbilli, but Christian Mbilli hasn't fought anybody. So even though Jaime Munguia fought and lost against Canelo, there's nothing to lead me to believe that Christian Mbilli would beat Canelo. So I think that just because Munguia lost, I don't think that's enough to put him behind Christian Mbilli, in my personal opinion. That's just my opinion, though. So even with Tim Tszyu, right? Tim Tszyu lost to Fundora, but it's not just that simple, right? Tim Tszyu lost to Fundora. I think the edgy, it's still a hypothesis because anything can happen in boxing. Sebastian Fundora could have won, but everything around that fight would lead me to believe that he would have beat Fundora if it wasn't for that hellacious cut that he sustained in the second round, you know, that impaired his vision and made him lose excessive blood. And anybody that lost excessive blood or know anything about biology, if you lose a lot of blood, then you're going to also lose energy. So he was fighting off of fumes, in my opinion, and he lost a lot of blood, and he still finished the fight. So, and in that short 2 rounds that he wasn't handicapped, he busted Fundora's lip and nose, had him leaking, so off of punches. So I have Tim Tszyu ranked right behind Terrence Crawford, even though he lost to Fundora. You see what I'm saying? And Brian Mendoza, he beat Fundora by knockout before Fundora beat Tim Tszyu, and Tim Tszyu handled Mendoza easily. So did Serhiy Boachuk. So even though Boachuk lost to Virgil Ortiz, I could even make an argument that I could put him close to Fundora. But I would put Fundora over Boachuk because Fundora is a champion, and I respect champions, but I would not put Fundora over Tim Tszyu, even though he beat Tim Tszyu. That's just me personally. I can understand how someone would put Fundora over Tim Tszyu, but not me, not your boy, not Doc. So, but yeah, so let's look at these rankings right here. I know that might not make sense to everybody, but it makes sense to me. So that's, that's just my opinion on this, and this is where opinions matter. Some people try to put opinions with facts. Like, this is an opinion, right? A list, a ranking is an opinion. What's not an opinion is whether or not somebody cheated. You know what I'm saying? That could be proven. So yeah, so at number 1, the champion is Canelo. The champion is Canelo. Ranked number 1 is Christian Mbilli. Number 2 is Munguia. Let me take away my face actually. Then got number 3 is Iglesias. Iglesias. 4 is Pacheco. 5 is Vladimir Shishkin. I like the fact that they included Vladimir Shishkin. 6 is Eric Bazinian. 7 is Berlanga. 8 is Lester Martinez. Not too familiar with him. I need to see him more. I think I only seen like one of his fights. Melikuziev is number 9, and number 10 is William Skull. In my personal opinion, I think that they have Edgar Berlanga. Even though I don't really care for Edgar Berlanga, I think Fedora is unified. That's a fact. He's unified WBO and WBC. He is unified, but he might lose that WBO if he doesn't fight a certain person, right? So he's unified because Tim Tszyu was unified. He's unified because Tim Tszyu was unified. He's not unified because, you see what I'm saying? Like I said, he beat the unified champion, but like I said, it was circumstantial. So I understand that someone has Fundora over him, but I just wouldn't. That's just me. Just doing the building. What's good, brethren? I think that Berlanga is too low. I do like Eric Bazinian. That's who Jaime Munguia will be fighting in September. I do like Diego Pacheco. He beat his last fight was questionable against Sean McCombs, I believe. Dude American out of Denver. That fight was questionable, but he has another fight coming up. Who is he fighting? Is he fighting Shishkin? He might be fighting Shishkin. He might be fighting Vladimir Shishkin. Let's see. He is fighting somebody soon, though. He might be fighting Vladimir Shishkin. No. He's fighting Sulecki. Never mind. Okay. He's fighting Sulecki. Yeah, and he had a close fight against Sean McCalman. It could have went either way. He won by UD. And then he's fighting Sulecki soon. But let's look at the 154. So see, 154 has no champion. You got Terrence Crawford number 1. I'm cool with this. Israel Madrimov number 2. I'm cool with that. But like I said, and look, so let's look at what we were talking about before, right? This is a perfect example of what I was just talking about at 168, right? So 168, what was I just talking about? I was saying that I think that even though Jaime Munguia lost to Canelo, I still think that he should be above Mbilli because Mbilli hasn't fought anybody. Even though I think Mbilli's very good, I think Munguia and Mbilli is a 50-50 fight. But once again, I think that they're penalizing Munguia too much for losing to the guy that's the Ring Magazine belt holder. He's the undisputed at 168. So I would rather, even though he lost, I still know more about Munguia's worth and the dog in him and his caliber as a fighter and his how could I say it? I know more about. I have more of a measuring stick and more of an idea of how formidable he is as a fighter than I do of Christian Mbilli, even though he's undefeated because he hasn't fought a high caliber fighter yet. So I know that Munguia will go the distance with the best person in the division. I know Munguia will get knocked down and overcome adversity and still keep going. I don't know. I still have those questions about Christian Mbilli. So like at 168, in my personal opinion, you go to 154, right? Israel Madrimov lost to Terrence Crawford, but he's not behind Fundora. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's right because no disrespect to Fundora. Like I said, Fundora did beat Erickson Lubin, right? He had him looking bad, but he did also get knocked out by this guy right here, Brian Mendoza. And Brian Mendoza, he lost in convincing fashion to Serhiy Boachuk. And he also lost in convincing fashion to Tim Tszyu. And he also lost to, who's the other person he lost to? This guy right here, Jesus Ramos. So he lost to the guy that lost to 3 guys on this list. So Fedora got knocked out by the guy that lost to 3 guys on this list. And really, Mendoza has 4 losses. I can't remember the other guy he lost to, but he definitely lost to Jesus Ramos, definitely lost to Tim Tszyu, definitely lost to Serhiy Boachuk, and Jesus Ramos also lost to Erickson Lubin. So Fundora, while he did beat Tim Tszyu, that's why I say when people say men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. Well, numbers can be misleading because if you just look at the numbers, on this, if you just look at the numbers, which is not really numbers, I'm talking about the win-loss, just look at the black and white on paper, you would see that, oh, Sebastian Fundora beat Tim Tszyu for the WBC and WBO belt. Well, he beat him circumstantially. He probably shouldn't have beat him, because if Tim Tszyu had a proper team, then they would have stopped the fight and went to the scorecards before the 5th round, and he would have won, because he was winning at that point. If he had if the WBC, WBO had a proper doctor, then the fight would have been stopped and he would have still kept his belt. So there's a lot of circumstances around it, and if he wouldn't have sustained a cut, we don't know. Sebastian Fundora still could have came back. You never know. But all the evidence, even though it's a small sample size, it's only 2 rounds, it still leads us to believe that Tim Tszyu would have beat Fundora. So I think things are circumstantial, and it's okay to be circumstantial. Things don't need to be clear cut and dry all the time. It's okay to have a mixed opinion. But like I said, I'm not mad at this. I'm not mad at Fundora being up here. But me personally, I would put Fundora, even though he's a champion, I definitely put him behind Tim Tszyu. I definitely put him behind Vergil Ortiz, and I definitely put him. Yeah, I put him behind Tim Tszyu and Vergil Ortiz. So I have him number 5, in my personal opinion. James Daly said he's not cool with number 2, Madrimov just lost. Okay, I'm cool with that too. I can understand that sentiment, because yeah, he just lost. But in my opinion, who did he lose to? You know what I'm saying? So let me ask you this, James, in your personal opinion. I would like to hear your explanation too. And like I said, y'all can always join the Discord, man, and explain, because I don't mind people disagreeing with me, because we should not have the same perspective. We don't need to be in concurrence all the time, but we can still be cordial. We can still be cordial with one another and civilized and considerate. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so to me, it's not about losing. It's about losing, of course, always about winning and losing, of course, but it's more so about who did you win to, who did you win against, who did you lose to? You see what I'm saying? What the heck is this? So Madrimov losing to Terrence Crawford, to me, in the way that he lost, in a close fight, in a struggle fight, in a going to decision with the pound for pound best, that is better than a win against Tim Tszyu in the way that Fundora won, in my personal opinion. And now y'all can disagree, but I think Madrimov proved more in a loss to Terrence Crawford than Fundora proved in a win against Tim Tszyu. Do you not feel the same way, James? Do you not feel the same way, Crow? Crow in the building. Am I overreaching? Am I tripping? I like Charles Conwell too, ranked number 9. I like that they did that. I like that they show love to Brian Mendoza too, because Brian Mendoza fights everybody. I think the people that fight everybody, Mendoza's been in the ring with the best. The only person he hasn't fought that's the best at 154 is, of course, the newly participant at 154 division, Terrence Crawford, and he didn't fight Jermell Charlo. But everybody else he fought. You know what I'm saying? He fought Tim Tszyu. He fought Serhiy Bohachuk. He fought Bohachuk. He fought Jesus Ramos. So I like the fact that they included a guy like Brian Mendoza. I like that, man. We need, because you should get rewarded. We talk about wanting these fighters not to worry about losing, but then as soon as they lose, we act like they got to fall off the edge of the earth. So I do like people getting their credit for, and them factoring in. Yeah, he might have lost, but he lost to quality opponents. So but I feel you though, Jay. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I disagree. But yeah, I can understand how you feel that way, because he did lose, and the point of the sport is to win. Right? The point of all competition is to win. So I could feel that. But does Madrimov beat Tszyu? That's a B-Dog in the building. What's good, brethren? Does Madrimov beat Tszyu? I'm gonna tell you right now, B-Dog. In my personal opinion, I think Madrimov is a beast. I think Madrimov will beat Tszyu. I just don't think he'll beat him right now. If Tszyu and Madrimov were fighting right now, I would lean towards Tszyu. But then again, like I said, I may be ridiculously high on Tszyu, but I've always thought that Tszyu, the only person at 154 that I thought could beat Tszyu was Jermell Charlo. And now Jermell Charlo's out the picture, and in comes Terrence Crawford. I think Tim Tszyu and Terrence Crawford's a good fight. I think Tim Tszyu is the biggest challenge to Terrence Crawford to stop him from getting undisputed at 154. So I would say right now, if they fought, I would lean towards Tim Tszyu. But if they fight like in a year or so, I'm leaning towards. I think Madrimov is going to be a beast. That's just me projecting. I'm projecting that Madrimov will be a champion again at 154. I think Tszyu may be the better fighter. Yeah, hey, B-Dog, me and you agree on a lot, bro. That's crazy. I thought you were gonna go for Madrimov, but yeah, I agree with you. I think Tszyu beats Bud Crawford, retires him for good. Yeah. So James, let me ask you. do you think so now that you think that Tim Tszyu beats Crawford, do you think that, granted this is what we think, right? It's not true, because we could think one thing and something else transpire. But if you think that Tim Tszyu beats Bud, do you think Fundora beats Bud? Maybe you do. But if you don't, then can you not kind of understand why Madrimov is above Fundora, even though you disagree? Because Fundora did just win, but he also, before he won, a lot of people were mad. Remember, a lot of people were like, oh, why is Sebastian Fundora getting the opportunity to fight for a title or 2 titles when he's just coming off of a loss? So you got to remember that he was coming off of a knockout loss to Mendoza right before he got the Tim Tszyu opportunity due to circumstances, and the circumstances being that Keith Thurman injured himself late. So Fundora was a late replacement. They actually looked at Mendoza first, but they remembered that Tim Tszyu beat Mendoza already, so nobody wanted to see that rematch. So that's why they gave it to Fundora, despite coming off a knockout loss. It's just that he was ready, next man up. He was ready, and he definitely capitalized on the moment, man. Shout out to Fundora, because ain't nothing given, it's earned. You can only fight the person in front of you. So I'm not knocking Fundora. I'm just considering all the circumstances. I definitely don't think Fundora is better than Tim Tszyu. I definitely don't think Fundora will beat Israel Madrimov. I definitely don't think, well, I ain't gonna say definitely. I think Virgil Ortiz and Fundora is a good fight, but I think Ortiz wins. I think Boachuk wins. I think Boachuk beats Fundora. I think that's a good fight as well. But yeah. So yeah, but I definitely understand, because he did come off a loss, and the goal is to win. So hey, I feel what you're saying too, for sure. That makes sense. He said, yeah, you make a great. I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate that, bro. But yeah. So back to Christian Mbilli. Unless y'all still want to talk about the 154-pound division, we could still have that discussion. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So Mbilli, right? So Mbilli is fighting Sergiy Derevyanchenko, which I think is going to be a great fight. And I'm leaning towards Mbilli, man. I think Christian Mbilli is going to win. I think he's going to be too active. I think he's going to be too, he throws too high volume of punches. He throws a high quantity of punches. He throws a large volume of punches. He throws it fast. He throws it powerful. Everything is trying to knock your head off and decapitate you, right? He kind of reminds me of a Munguia. That's why I think Munguia, and as much as I want to see other fights, I think a underrated fight that could potentially be fight of the year, if it happens, which I don't think it'll happen anytime soon, but Munguia and Christian Mbilli. Like I said, Munguia, my boy, blocks with his face. I love watching Munguia. Munguia don't care about nothing. He's trying to knock your head off. He's throwing punches in bunches. He said defense for what? He's like the Mike D'Antoni. He's like the Phoenix Suns with Mike D'Antoni coaching of boxing. Remember with Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire and Leandro Barbosa and all them guys, and they didn't. The only person that played defense was when Rajah Bell was on the court. Don't nobody else play defense. You know what I'm saying? They just running and gunning. So that's what Jaime Munguia reminds me of. And even Freddie Roach, who's Jaime Munguia's coach, I think is perfect for him, because Freddie Roach isn't really considered a defense aficionado, right? He's not really he's a high-powered offense guy, like even with Pacquiao. So I think that Freddie Roach was a great pickup for Jaime Munguia for his fighting style. Like I said, and it also provides for great action, and like I said, Christian Mbilli and Munguia, to me, are they're very similar styles. They both throw high volume of punches, and they're coming forward and they're trying to knock your head off, man, and they're going to take some to give some. And I think that's a great fight, potential fight of the year. And I don't know who wins, but speaking of Munguia and their similarities, Teddy Atlas, who I think is one of the best boxing minds, he said that he thinks Sergiy Derevyanchenko beats Mbilli, and I was like, man, that's a hell of a prediction, But what did he cite? He cited Jaime Munguia. He cited the similarities of Christian Mbilli and Jaime Munguia. Like I said before, and I've said this some weeks ago, man, ever since I first seen Mbilli, I've always said Munguia and Mbilli would be a great fight, because they have a similar style and they're high-powered offense. And it's just like a big compliment for me, and a joy to see, because it reinforces that, I may not be considered a boxing expert, but at least I know I could read what I see, you know what I'm saying, and provide a summary or even provide some analysis that it may not be right, but at least some other people that are boxing lifers are in concurrence and they see the same thing that I see or something similar. So, but I do think Mbilli beats Derevyanchenko. But what Teddy Atlas said had some great points. He said, man, Sergiy Derevyanchenko, his experience is going to come in. He said that he felt that Sergiy Derevyanchenko could have beat Jaime Munguia, and if you remember right, he's correct, because it was a close fight and Munguia really got the win. I think he secured it when he knocked SD down in the 12th round. It was a clutch drop. I think he knocked him down to the body, if my memory serves me correctly. So I can understand how he thinks that, man, you know, especially if Christian Mbilli can't knock down Sergiy Derevyanchenko. But the caveat with that is that Derevyanchenko, you know, he's fought everybody, man. He's fought. Some people argue that he beat Triple G, right? I think Teddy Atlas was one of them, if I'm not mistaken. But my point is that Sergiy Derevyanchenko even fought Triple G. So that's letting you know that he's up there in age, right? He's 38, I believe. Is he? Yeah, he's 38.
Damn.
And
I'm sorry.
38's not old in life. That's still young in life, but 38 in the boxing realm. Hell, I'm close to 38. But when you're talking about boxing and anything to do with athletics, you know, we call LeBron. What do we say about LeBron? Oh, LeBron's phenomenal, man. How's he still performing at such a high level at 39? So he's 1 year older than Sergiy Derevyanchenko, and he's not getting punched in the head. You know what I'm saying? So Sergiy Derevyanchenko, he's 38, and that's kind of older to be going in there with a young lion, a young bull like Christian Mbilli, who's high-powered offense. So I think he's going to get overwhelmed. But if anybody's savvy enough to overcome that, even in old age, is going to be the wily veteran in SD, you know, because he also throws punches. He doesn't stop punching either. So that he doesn't throw punches to the rate of Jaime Munguia and the Christian Mbilli, but he throws punches, and he throws effective punches. He throws well-timed punches. He throws precise punches, accurate punches. So he's a little more judicious with his punch output, but he definitely throws, you know. It's not like he's just sitting there. He's not like a low activity like how Canelo has become over the years. Like he mostly picks his shot, breaks you down, and very careful. He will throw punches. So and if you haven't seen his fight with Triple G, that was a good fight. So I suggest watching that fight. I might rewatch it today. But yeah, that was so Sergiy Derevyanchenko, man. I think he does have a good chance of winning, but I just think that age is just too much to overcome. So I have Mbilli still, despite what Teddy Atlas said. And he also pointed to Sergiy Derevyanchenko countering the young bull's mistakes, like, because he does make a lot of mistakes. He leaves himself open, right? And especially when he's throwing hooks, similar to Pitbull, he doesn't throw them as he's not as out of position as Pitbull, and he's not as limited as Pitbull as far as just throwing hooks, but he does throw a lot of hooks, and he puts his head down sometimes and just throws, you know. And I think that you know what they say, like, you know, like a lot of military veterans, they'll say, you know, I'd rather have a marksman with a 9mm with a pistol than untrained gunman with a Uzi, because they'll just be spraying and wasting bullets. But that marksman might have a pistol, a semi-automatic, but he's going to be precise. He's going to hit his shots. So that's why I think Christian Mbilli is. Christian Mbilli's like the Uzi, and Sergiy Derevyanchenko's like that, like the OG with the pistol. You know what I'm saying? So he gonna pick his shots and be more precise. Christian Mbilli gonna be spraying the whole city up. but he gets the job done. You know. Yeah, I'm going with Christian Mbilli still. I think this will be a good lesson for Mbilli. I think he's just too high-powered offense. My boy B-Dog says the Mbilli offense is his defense. Facts. Facts. His offense is his defense. You're absolutely correct. That's a fact. Drunk Irishman in the building. That's a fact, man. You're absolutely right. I agree. His offense is his defense. And, yeah. So, that's good, but what if your offense is misplaced, like what Teddy Atlas is anticipating to happen, you know, predicting to happen? But I think it's an interesting fight. And then if that's not good enough for you, Christian Mbilli and Sergiy Derevyanchenko, if that doesn't intrigue you, you have Osley Iglesias, right? Another guy at 168. He was actually ranked on the Ring Magazine top guys at 168. He's an up and comer. I think he only has like 10 or 11 fights. He's fighting on that card. I can't remember his opponent. Is it Sena Agbeko, the Ghanaian fighter? You know, yeah. It's Agbeko, if my memory serves me correctly. He's fighting Agbeko. He's a pretty good fighter out of Ghana. I think that would be a good fight, good test. I think Ozzy Iglesias is going to win that. Agbeko been in there with some good guys as well. Shout out to the Ghanaian fighter, you know what I'm saying, African brethren. And also Abdullah Mason, which I'm very excited for Abdullah Mason, right? The young up and comer from Top Rank. You know, they're keeping him very active, very active. I love to see it. And, you know, I think Abdullah Mason, I think the best way to summarize his, if I could summarize his fighting style and what I've seen in one word, I would say sharp. He just looks so sharp, man. He looks on point. He looks precise. He looks like he has power. He just needs more. He needs more experience, and that's what they're getting him, right? He's staying active. He's gonna get the good fights. He's stepping up in competition progressively, and I like the way they're handling Abdullah Mason, and I like the way he's handling his opponents. So I'm excited to see him on that card again. So see him in the ring again. Excuse me, he's on that card. So yeah, this is happening this Saturday, man. I'm looking forward to these fights. It's gonna be some good fights. But yeah, there's gonna be some very good fights, man. Let me look this up real quick. Let me see. I wanted to see Osley. I want to make sure I'm telling you the right thing about Osley Iglesias. Let's see who he has fought. I mean, who he will be fighting. Yeah, he's fighting Sena Egbeko. Okay, I was correct. And Sena Egbeko, his last fight was against David Morrell, and he lost. And he also lost to Vladimir Shishkin, who was also on the 168-pound list for the Ring magazine, right? So he's been there with some good guys, man. He just came up a little short, but he's been there with some good guys, and yeah, we'll see how he does against Osley Iglesias. I'll be right back. Let me go grab a water, man. I ran out of water. Yes, sir. Back. I thought we're dry, boy. Pause. Hey, yo. What we doing? Yes, sir. So let's get right back.
What do you mean by that?
No, let me also. I always forget to put this message, man. I always forget, man. But yeah, I think that yes, there we go. All right, bet. But yeah, Christian Mbilli, man, I look forward to this fight, man. I think that he's gonna win. But I think Teddy Atlas made a good point. I was just kind of, I don't want to say I was surprised, because Teddy Atlas usually has some good predictions and some pretty surprising predictions. He goes against the grain. That's why I like him. And a lot of times he's right. You know, a lot of times he's wrong too. But I think it's a good fight, and I'm looking forward to it, man. And then, like I said, I'm looking forward to the fights that are upcoming as well, man. You know, especially with, like I said, Devin Haney returning. I'm interested to see if he stays at 140, goes to 147. I think if he goes to 147, I'm interested to see who he fights. Will he play it safe? And no disrespect to Mario Barrios, but it seems like a lot of people want to fight Mario Barrios. I think because stylistically he's a good style matchup for a lot of fighters. But I think people are underestimating Mario Barrios. I think I like Mario Barrios. I think he's a tough guy, but I do think that out of the champions at 147, I think that if you're moving up and you're Devin Haney, I think he's right to target Mario Barrios as far. I think he's the most beatable. I really think Devin Haney could beat anybody in there except for Boots, but some people think that he could even beat Boots, and it's not out of the question, but I just think that Boots is too strong and too mobile and too I don't know if he can beat Boots. I could see a path of victory for him against Stanionis, but I think Stanionis is too tough and he applies too much pressure. But Mario Barrios, you could kind of stall him and reset him with a nice 1-2, right, and keep your range and keep your distance, and I think you could beat Mario Barrios. Mario Barrios is not a small guy either, you know, and he's good too. I think Mario Barrios only has 2 losses, right? To Tank at 140 and Keith Thurman, I believe, right? So Does he have one more? Does he have another loss? I think it's just those 2 losses. So I think Mario Barrios will be a good target for Devin Haney, but I think he should stay at 140 unless he's really having trouble making the weight. But he's been accused of being a weight bully. Coming in at 165 against Regis Prograis. So that's ridiculous. Coming up 25 pounds above the weight limit is crazy. So maybe he always looks drained going into the fight, but he is a consummate professional. I applaud him for that because he always makes weight and then blows up. So, and that's part of the contract negotiations, man. If you don't want your opponent to blow up, then put that in the negotiations. But I do think that he'll if he comes back at 140, I'd rather him be at 140. But if he goes at 147, I can see that too. But I just don't know who he fight. I mean, he could fight if he goes to 147 too. He doesn't have to fight those champions. I just named the champions, but he could fight what's his dude's name? He could fight Blair the Flair Cobbs. Blair the Flair. Woo! Cobbs. He could try to fight AB. Adrian Broner. They have some history there. Who else at 147 there? What's that dude? We just see him win in a tough fight against a Para. Shakram Giyashov. He could fight him. Who's considered a contender at I believe he's from Uzbekistan as well. He's a contender at 147. So there's a lot of places he could go, but I would like to see him try to reclaim his belt at 140. And I would like to see somebody unify, whether it's Teofimo or attempt to unify. Like, there's been so much movement at 140. No one has even had the opportunity to attempt to unify. Like Teofimo, in his defense, whether you like Teofimo or not, I think he's a POS. Every time he talks, it's just cringy, and he says something ridiculous and stupid and unintelligent. But he's definitely a good fighter, and he's been struggling as of late. But he's still a good fighter, and he's been the longest reigning champion at 140, right? Because Rolly Romero was a champion. Isaac Pipo Cruz beat him, and then Rayo Valenzuela, to my surprise, he dethroned Isaac Pipo Cruz. So now that's a shakeup. That's just one belt, and then the other belt we had Subra Matias, who Teofimo tried to fight in February, but Subra Matias sustained a hand injury, and he pulled out, and then he was replaced by Jermaine Ortiz, and we already know about that terrible fight that we had to endure. But then so Subra Matias was still the title holder, and Liam Parle spoiled his homecoming in Puerto Rico, right, traveling from Australia, and took that belt. So we had some shake up there, and then Devin Haney elected to sidestep his mandatory in Sandor Martin and pay him some step aside money and go against Ryan Garcia. We all know what happened there with Ryan Garcia cheating and that controversy there. So now he was declared the champion of recess, and Alberto Puello, who beat Gary Antoine Russell, was elevated to a champion, and he's supposed to be fighting Sandor Martin. And then the mandatory of that, Gary Antoine Russell gets the mandatory of that of the winner of that fight. So whether it's Alberto Puello or Sandor Martin, Gary Antoine Russell is supposed to get the winner of that fight. So we could potentially see Gary Antoine Russell win and become a champion, even though he just lost to Alberto Puello in his last fight for his first time losing. So there's just a lot of moving parts at 140. I would like to see somebody try to get unified, even at 135. Same thing. I would like for somebody to try to get unified at 135 between Shakur Lomachenko, Denis Berinchyk, and Gervonta Tank Davis. Now, we know famously it's hard to fight Lomachenko because he doesn't want to fight Shakur, he doesn't want to fight Tank, and it seems like Shakur is getting the Zepeda fight, and we don't know what's next for Gervonta, and we don't know what's next for Denis Berinchyk. A lot of people are saying that maybe Keyshawn Davis gets a Berinchyk nod. I would like to see maybe Tank versus Berinchyk or Shakur versus Berinchyk, but it seems like Shakur's fighting Zepeda, like I said, and I don't know what Lomachenko is going to do. So I would like for these weight classes to unify, but at least I would say 135 is a little more secure, even though they also have 4 champions, but their champions, in my opinion, are a little more established. Like at 135, Tank been pretty much by consensus considered the best at 135, and if not, then it's Shakur. So, and those two both have belts. So the number 1 and number 2 consensus best have belts. And Lomachenko is considered like number 3 or maybe 4, whether you want to put him above or behind Zepeda. He has a belt too. And Denis Berinchyk, he's a newcomer, but he's had the belt for quite some time now after beating Emmanuel Navarrete, who was another good fighter. So those guys have all can make a pretty substantial claim. They've been there for a little bit. And even Zepeda, he's a mandatory for all 4 belts. So I think they're a little more secure with their top guys than 140 is. 140, like I said, they have a lot of moving parts. A lot of people didn't believe in Esau Pitbull Cruz, and they were right. I believed in them, and I was wrong. And then now he's not even a champion anymore. Rayo is a champion who has a few losses. He lost to Edwin De Los Santos. He lost to Chris Colbert, even though he avenged that loss against Chris Colbert. And then we have Liam Parr, relatively unknown. He was put on the map by being Super Matias. I knew about him. That's why I had him for the upset. But because I saw enough after I saw his last 2 fights, not including Super Matias, but his 2 fights prior to that, especially his one before Super Matias, where he knocked out Montana Love in like the 6th round, which I was very impressed by. So yes, and then Teofimo's been looking shaky against Jermaine Ortiz and Steve Claggett. So I think that it's a little more in limbo. 140 is like my boy Ty says, a wild, wild west, and anything can happen. So I think we need a somebody to unify, man. Yo, LS2 in the building. What's good, brother? Versus Navarrete. Navarrete is supposed to be fighting Oscar Valdez for the rematch, bro. So they're talking about that happening next, and they're saying that'd be great because they're saying that will be on the same night as Robesi Ramirez versus Rafael Espinoza. That'd be 2 great rematches right there on the same night too. That'd be crazy. I think they were aiming for. I read an article. I think they're aiming for December 7th or something like that. Paro's having trouble finding an opponent for November. I bet. Don't nobody want to fight Paro, bro. Who do you think wants to fight Paro at 140? Bro, like. Who did he just beat, James? He just beat the quote-unquote boogeyman, which I thought was a little reach. I like Subaru Matias, but I thought it was a little unjustified to give him the boogeyman label because I don't know who was avoided. Like I said, Teofimo tried to fight him, and I give Teofimo the benefit of the doubt. Whether he wins or not, that's debatable, but he was trying to fight him. I'm not so sure that Richardson Hitchens was trying to fight him because he was his mandatory for a little bit. But he even said in the interview after being Gustavo Lemos that he would fight him. But he didn't seem too convincing. But I like I said, I give fighters the benefit of the doubt. They say they want something, they're going to do something, then I would give them the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise. So Richardson Hitchens said he would fight him. And somebody else said that they would fight him too. I think it was Regis Prograis said he would have fought him, even though he lost to Devin Haney and he's fighting Jack Catterall now. There was somebody else that said they would have fought Super Matias. But anyway, my point is that I think that label of being the boogeyman at 140 was kind of unjustified. But I do think he's good. That's not a knock to say he's not good. I just don't think that people will. A boogeyman means that people are avoiding you. I think Philip Hrgovic at heavyweight, that was an appropriate label for him because a lot of people didn't seem to want to fight him, even though Daniel Dubois, and I was wrong about that fight too. I thought Hrgovic would win. Daniel Dubois impressed me, and he beat Hrgovic. I think that was a boogeyman because I could point to people that actively avoided Hrgovic, especially after when he beat Zhang, even though it was a controversial win. But Super Matias, I can't really point to too many people that were of much consequence in the division that was avoiding him. But anyway, Liam Parle still, whether you believe in it or not, he still beat the guy that was labeled the boogeyman, right? So with that being said, naturally, people aren't going to be too excited to fight you. So yeah, I bet Liam Parle's having trouble fighting the opponent for November. I heard some rumblings about Liam Parle and Devin Haney. I think Liam Parle wins, but once again, I like Liam Parle. I think Liam Parle beats. I think him and Teofimo will be a good fight. I will lean towards Liam Parle again. I think, it's crazy. I thought that Liam Parle and Pitbull would have been a good fight. I thought that was a 50-50. I know that joke sounds crazy, but I just think Eastside Pitbull Cruz got that dog, and not everybody can handle that dog. But shout out Rayo. Rayo definitely handled that dog, though. He handled that dog. And then we have El Rayo Valenzuela. I think Rayo and Liam Parle is a good fight. I think that's a good fight. The reason why I think that Parle beats Teofimo, even though I think Teofimo is probably the best. I know it sounds contradictory, but I think Teofimo's easy to game plan against. Like, he doesn't have a game plan. So when you don't have a game plan and you're just winging it, it's easy. That's why he struggles, in my opinion. He never looks like he has a game plan. He just looks like he goes in the ring and tries and thinks he's always a more talented fighter, more athletic fighter, more gifted fighter. So that's how he wins. But when you fighting somebody like Parle, I don't think that'll work against Parle. I think if you don't have a game plan, you're not going to beat him. Ask Super Matias. You just try to do the same basic thing, and that's why Liam Paro beat him, because Subriel Matias is good at his pressure, and he's very strong. But what did Liam Paro do? Every single time he hit him with that pop pop, that 1-2, and reset him, and made him have to charge up that engine again. And then he got closer, pop pop, he stopped him again, reset. And it was that. And I think Liam Paro would execute a game plan against Teofimo. Same with Jack Catterall. I think Jack Catterall and Teofimo's a good match, even though I have Teofimo winning that one. But I think that's a very interesting match. I would like to see somebody emerge as the bona fide best at 140, or somebody that I think man, let's look at 140 right now, bro. Man, forget this. Let's look at 140, man. Because 140 is that thing hot. Let's look at 140, man. I like Hitchens' matchup. Paro looks for unification, but crickets. Yeah, I think Hitchens is good too. But I will say I was big on Hitchens until Gustavo Lemos. Like, I disagree with the people saying that it was a robbery. No, I thought Hitchens won a close fight convincingly. Like, you can have a clear winner in a close fight, and I thought if you thought Gustavo Lemos won, if Gustavo Lemos would have beat Hitchens, that would have been a robbery. Like, you know what I'm saying, or closer to a robbery, because yes, it was a close fight, but it wasn't a close fight where, it wasn't like a close fight to where I thought there was a lot of swing rounds. It was a close fight, meaning like I had 8-4 for Hitchens. It's just that there were close rounds, but Hitchens clearly edged them out. That's what I mean. So it was a close fight because every round, a lot of rounds were close, but I thought Hitchens did enough to win, and clearly win. So now a close fight like Sergiy Boachuk and Virgil Ortiz, that had some rounds that could have went either way. I don't think Gustavo Lemos and Hitchens had that many rounds that could have went either way. It's just that they were highly contentious rounds, but I thought that he did a lot he did enough to edge out those wins. Ismael Barroso's fighting a Japanese fighter who's undefeated. That's going to be interesting. So Ismael Barroso has a fight. Of course, Isaac Cruz, this is not updated because Isaac Cruz is no longer there. Jose Valenzuela is there, right? But you got Dalton Smith. I liked Dalton Smith before, but I was mad when Dalton Smith won his last fight against Jorge Cepeda and then called out Adam Azim. Like, you see, Adam Azim's not even ranked. Why are you calling out Adam Azim? How are you saying that you have world title aspirations, and then when you beat Jorge Cepeda and knock him out, you call out Adam Azim? To me, that just shows the opposite. To me, that shows that you have no ambition, and it's kind of like Jared Anderson's. Like, while people put more pressure on Jared Anderson than Dalton Smith, I think that at least Jared Anderson is out in the open. He's like, hey man, I don't have a passion for the sport. I'm just fighting and getting these checks because I'm good at it. Dalton Smith is faking like he wants to fight for a world championship. He didn't call out Devin Haney. He didn't call out, at the time, Isaac Cruz. He didn't call out Subriel Matias. He didn't call out Teofimo. He called out Adam Azim. Stop it, bro. Don't go backwards, bro. So to me, once he did that, I was done with him. Because I was like, yeah, he don't really want to fight for real. He just want to fight fights that he can win, and he's not trying to get a championship. So yeah, but I do think he's decent though. He is decent. But yeah, we have Sandor Martin. We have Jose Carlos Ramirez. I like him. He only has one loss to Josh Taylor, and that's when Josh Taylor was good, right? That's what say Josh Taylor's not good. But yeah, I just feel like 140 is, man. There's no clear. I like Michelle Ali Rivera. I like him. I like Alberto Puello. Lindolfo Delgado, we just saw him fight, right? Undefeated guy. We just seen him fight this weekend. He's pretty good. But Kenneth Sims, we just saw him fight on Virgil Ortiz card. Lindolfo Delgado fought on the Angelo Leo versus Luis Lopez card. Kenneth Sims just fought on the Virgil Ortiz Sergiy Boachuk card. Oh, this is the guy right here, Andy Hiroka. That's who Ismael Barroso's fighting. That's gonna be a tough match for the old man. Julian Smith, Jukinbayev, yeah. You got my boy Rollies. You got, Regis Pro. I like Regis Prograis. I'm going for Regis Prograis over Jack Catterall, but I think Jack Catterall wins. I'm not sold on Arnold Barbosa Jr. He's actually fighting Jose Carlos Ramirez. I think Jose Carlos Ramirez wins that. Jermaine Ortiz, I used to like him a lot until that last performance against Teofimo. I thought he tried to finesse the game. Look, we got Steve Claggett. That man fought Teofimo, lost, and his ranking went up. Ergashev is a good fighter. That's who Subriel Matias made say no mas. But then I've heard some things that Ergashev had some stuff going on. Not to make an excuse, if you in that ring, you in that ring. But I heard that he had some stuff going on as to why he quit on the stool. But whatever. Yeah, they're just like, look at all this stuff, man. So we got Sean McComb, who I think beat Arnold Barbosa Jr. He beat Arnold Barbosa Jr. This is a guy out of, I believe he's Irish, out of Ireland. Yeah, he's definitely out of Ireland. And he fought Arnold Barbosa Jr. and he beat him. He got robbed. That was on the same night of that was on the undercard of Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney. Yeah, so like I said, Richardson Hitchens, he's probably, I want to say he's my favorite, but he might be my favorite at 140 now that Isaac Pitbull Cruz is. I think Isaac Pitbull Cruz is going back to 135. So my favorite at 140 is probably Richardson Hitchens and Liam Paro. These two are probably my favorite. But I'm not too convinced that they could unify or get undisputed. I would lean towards Liam Paro being able to get unify first. But I don't know. It's a highly contentious division, man. I like Hitchens' matchup for Paro looking for unification. But yeah, I like that matchup too. Man. I think Liam Paro wins that though. My personal opinion. I think that Richardson Hitchens could get touched. Shout out to Gustavo Lemos. He's a high pressure fighter though. Gustavo Lemos is similar to a pit bull as far as stylistically. So I could see Liam Paro winning. I mean, I could see the fact that Richard Hitchens was able to handle Gustavo Lemos. Well, what was that was a good fight, you know, but it was very difficult, and I don't think that Liam Paro struggles with Gustavo Lemos as much as Richard Hitchens did. And stylistically, you know, Richard Hitchens is more of a guy that's gonna outpoint you, right? He's gonna use his range, gonna pick and pop you, and yeah, I just thought he was gonna be able to do it more effectively than he was able to do against Gustavo Lemos. So I'm not sure if he's able to beat Liam Paro. Through the Lord's mercies we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Amen. My mama be sending me Bible verses and stuff. Yes, sir. Happy morning. Happy morning to y'all, man, and good blessings. After Matias lost to Paro, Matias still have a big mouth. Yeah, but I'm not mad at that though, because I still, like I said, I still like Matias. I think Matias could bounce back. But I will say this. I think the people that, so this is my opinion, LS2, but like sometimes, you know, when I think highly of a fighter, I can't knock a fighter too much for losing to him. Like, for example, I thought Liam Paro was going to upset Super Matias because I think Liam Paro is good. But if you're not familiar with Liam Paro, on the surface, you could be like, oh, Super Matias lost to a nobody, a guy that has no name. Who the heck is he? Like, you know what I'm saying? You see Liam Paro's name, and you be like,
who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that? You know damn well who I am. Who the fuck is that?
Not anymore, but yeah, but prior to Super Matias, a lot of people didn't know him. But so my point is that I don't think that was a bad loss for Matias. So I don't mind him still talking. Because I think losing to Liam Paro is no knocking that, but I definitely don't think that he's by any means close to the boogeyman anymore. And I know a lot of people want him to run it back and think that he wins. I think that Liam Paro, if they have a rematch, I think Liam Paro wins in a more decisive fashion, because I'm a firm believer that when you have a rematch, it greatly and significantly favors the better boxer, and I think Liam Paro is a better boxer. Even though I had Pitbull beating Jose Rayo Valenzuela, or I had Pitbull beating him, if they have a rematch, I think Rayo will win again, because I think Rayo, he did what I thought he couldn't do. I thought he couldn't outbox him. I knew that's what he would have to do, but I didn't think he was going to be able to execute it. But shout out to them, they implemented the game plan, and he executed the game plan. And he's the better boxer. He cleared that. I mean, he clearly proved that. So I think that if they have a rematch, I think Isaac Pitbull Cruz gets whooped again. And that's even reinforced by what Robert Garcia, who's Rayo's trainer, says that, yeah, if Isaac Pitbull Cruz wants a rematch, we'll give him a rematch immediately. He said, we'll fight him next week. He said, we'll fight him right now. So, I mean, I'm not saying that you can't be wrong and you can't just be confident or overconfident in your fighter and your abilities, but I think that's more so indicative that that's like, everybody knows that in boxing, man. Usually when you have a rematch, man, it favors the better boxer. And Rayo is definitely the better boxer. I think Liam Paro is definitely the better boxer in the outfit of him and Subriel Matias. So I think he's going to, I mean, look at Andre Ward and Kovalev. Andre Ward and Kovalev, the first one was close. The second one, Andre Ward demolished him because he's a better boxer. So the better boxer is going to adapt more. He's going to have more, is going to be more skillful, going to outpoint him, going to have a better game plan. You know what I'm saying? Going to be more cognizant of things that they could take advantage of and looking for gaps. So Sugar Nunez and Oscar Valdez, I'm not sure. I'll have to look at that fight some more. Paro's a southpaw, so sometimes I can't see on this screen, so I got to see on this screen because the messages overlap. Paro's southpaw, so is Australia's other best fighter, Jay Apataya. Yeah. I don't really like. I'm not big on Jay Apataya though. I'm not big on him, man. Jay Apataya, I think he has a fight coming up. Somebody was in here arguing with me the other day. Was yesterday or the day before because I said I don't really like Jay Apataya. He's definitely a beast. He's the best cruiserweight. Recognize him as that. But I'm not too hype on him. Like, you know, so I don't believe the hype is what I'm saying. I think Jay Apataya is just waiting for the right person to come and knock his head off, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. But you said, I don't know, who do you have, LS2? If they do fight, like I said, Oscar Valdez is fighting Emmanuel Navarrete for the rematch. Sugar Nunez has 27 fights, 20. Yeah, but who does he fight? That's Eduardo Nunez, right? Who has he fought though? Has he fought any notable fighters? It's like Trevor McCumbee, right? Trevor McCumbee doesn't have a 100% KO rate, but he has 28 wins and like 22 knockouts or 21 knockouts. That's a guy that's about to fight Caleb Sweethand's Plant, right? But if you look at his last 3 fights for Trevor McCumbee, his last 3 opponents have a combined loss record of 30. Yes, bro. 30. Dirty 30.
Damn.
So,
I'm sorry.
and that's simple math, right? The last 3 opponents have a combined loss record of 30. That means each one of his last 3 opponents had at least 10 losses. Had an average of 10 losses. So, yeah, he has a good record. He's undefeated and he has a high KO rate, but who has he fought? So same with Eduardo Nunez. I've seen him before. I want to say I've seen him maybe once or twice, but I know he hasn't fought anybody of much consequence. So I don't know who wins. The reason why I say I don't know, because while Eduardo Nunez or Sugar Nunez, he has 100% KO rate, Oscar Valdez has definitely been in the ring with the higher caliber opponents, and he's a champion. You know what I'm saying? So, hell, he's a champion right now. He's a former champion and champion right now. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I'll have to see that one or do more research. I'm not sure. My boy Clone, big member, big mod in the building. When are you going to discuss your previous nefarious statements? P, also, what up, too, brethren? What up, though, brethren? What'd I say, bro? What was my wicked, diabolical, nefarious, malicious statements, bro? Appetized lineal champ too. Yeah, he is. So I just feel like I'm gonna be honest, James. I've told the other person this too. I'm not fond of the cruiserweight division. I've never been fond of the cruiserweight division. The only guys that are exciting from cruiserweight to me in the history of cruiserweight is Evander Holyfield and Alexander Usyk. I like BJ Flores too. BJ Flores was a dope cruiserweight. But it's just, I feel like cruiserweights they're too small for heavyweight and they're too big for light heavyweight. You know, the reason why I don't believe in Jay Apataya, because I think the winner of Beterbiev and Bivol, if they wanted to, could beat Jay Apataya, especially if it's Beterbiev. I think Beterbiev beats Jay Apataya. I think Bivol beats Jay Apataya, and they're in a lower division. I definitely think Usyk, which he has flirted with the idea. Usyk has flirted with the idea of going back down to cruiserweight and claiming another undisputed again, which I don't really care for that decision. But you know, Usyk is kind of a small heavyweight, right? More of a natural cruiserweight. I think we could all agree on that. So I could understand it. But I think that he destroys Jay Apataya. And that's not a bad thing, because Usyk is pound for pound number 1, 2, or 3, right? So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think it's just, if I think that the best person above you beats you, which is that's not really that bad, right? Because he's a weight division higher, but he's a natural cruiserweight. You know, the guy above you is really probably belongs in your division. So I think that he's dominating because of Usyk's absence. And then if I think that the top 2 guys below you will beat you, then I kind of don't really have too much. I'm just not really, I'm not too really big on him. I think he's in that position more so because of circumstance, and I can't knock him because once again, you have to beat the people in front of you. Like he did beat Maris Bradis twice, and Usyk, had a pretty good fight with Maris Bradis, but I don't know. I'm just not really sold on him. Ben Whitaker, I don't know about that. I don't know. I got to lean towards Jay Alpataya. I can't say Ben Whitaker's too green right now, man. Ben Whitaker, I like Ben Whitaker, and I love watching him, man. He's actually a very entertaining fighter to fight. He's one of my favorite fighters to watch right now, but I can't say that he beats Jay Alpataya too much. Yeah, that's my point, James. Yeah, cruiserweight is not stacked. Yeah, it's never really stacked, So I've just never been fond of it. So while I have to acknowledge him because he is the champion and he's the best one in my opinion. He's definitively the best one. I would like to see him versus wait. Did he beat Gilberto Ramirez? I don't think they fought, right? Yeah, let me look that up. I don't think nah, they didn't fight. I think he does beat Gilberto Ramirez though. I think that'd be a good fight though. Zerdo, let's see. I don't think they fought, right? Yeah, nah, they haven't fought. Yeah, so I think that'd be a good fight. I would like to see how he handles him. I think Zerdo, Gilberto Ramirez, kind of a letdown too. I had big hopes on him, but after he lost to Bivol, he just hasn't really looked that good. But I would like to see that fight. Jay Alpataya and Ben Whitaker. What you said about not like us, I'm gonna hop in the core later. We go debate that. Also, I really don't want Canelo versus Bud. Yeah, I saw your messages too. I saw your message too, James. I just didn't get a chance to respond, man. I was busy this morning. But I'm gonna respond, man. I always respond to the messages, man. Shout out to those that be tapping in with me on the videos. But speaking of that though, you just remind me of Bud. Yeah, I don't really care for Canelo and Bud either. Like, of course, I would watch it. It's intriguing. Yeah, it's intriguing because that's a testament to Bud's greatness. But like I said, I honestly feel like it's a lose-lose for Canelo. Just like I feel like Terrence Bud Crawford is a lose-lose with Teofimo. It's just when you're not going to get that much credit for beating a guy that's 2 divisions below you. Do I think that Bud has the same chance as Teofimo does against him versus Canelo? No. Bud has a good chance to beat Canelo as a testament to his greatness. But I just think that Canelo is bigger, and he's not. He's good too, you know what I'm saying? It's not like a Roy Jones and John Ruiz situation where John Ruiz was at heavyweight and Roy Jones was undoubtedly more skilled than him. Yes, I think Bud is slightly more skilled than Canelo, but the disparity between their skill level is not that wide. Is not nowhere near as wide as the disparity between their size. Yes, they may be the same height. Yes, they may have the same reach. That's one dimension. If you know size, how size works, is usually at least 3 dimensions, right? Length, width, and height. So I give people this example all the time when they say that Canelo and Terrence Crawford are the same size. I say, no, they're not. They say they're the same size because they're the same height. No. What is considered the largest land animal? Do they say a giraffe? No, but the giraffe is the tallest land animal. No one ever says the biggest land animal, the largest land animal is a giraffe. What do they say? The elephant. Why? Because the elephant is more massive. It's more solid. It has more girth, if you will. Pause. Hey, yo, we out here talking about girth. Pause.
What?
So yeah. So the same concept applies to Canelo. You could say that him and Crawford are the same size. Well, Crawford just made his debut at 154, junior middleweight. Yeah, there's a junior in there. What's the name? Canelo has been all the way up to junior heavyweight or light heavyweight. So come on now, there's a difference, bro. So I believe there's a difference. Does that mean that I don't think that Bud has a chance? Yeah, I think Bud has a chance because it's like I said, it's a testament to his greatness. But just because I have so much respect and so much admiration for Bud, and I acknowledge he's a phenomenal fighter, that's why I think he has a chance. But it's unheard of to think that a natural 147 pounder would beat a guy that's undisputed at 168 and has been a champion at 175. So when I say that I think Canelo wins, it's not a knock on Bud. It's not disrespect Bud. In fact, it's a compliment to Bud and a belief in Bud that I even think that that's an intriguing fight or an interesting fight. Because anybody else at 147 saying they're going to fight an undisputed champion at 168, I would say you're crazy. You see what I'm saying? But I think that he could do it because he's a beast. I've seen him accomplish great things. But I think that the smart money would be on Canelo, because people talk about what Canelo can't do or can do against Bud. And people talk about how Bud what he can do and can't do. Well, I can tell you what he can't do. What I don't think he can do is hurt Canelo. Canelo just fought Jaime Munguia. If Jaime Munguia can't hurt him, why would I think Bud could hurt him? If Bivol beat him up and still didn't hurt him, why would I think Bud could hurt him? If Sergey the Crusher Kovalev, granted he lost to Andre Ward, he was Kovalev in decline. He was still the Crusher. If he couldn't hurt him, why would I think why would I think Crawford could hurt him? If Triple G could fight him 3 times, who was a real big boogeyman back in his day, if he can't hurt Canelo, why would I think Bud could hurt him? Now, could Bud outpoint him? Yes, but a lot of people say, oh, he could outpoint him like Floyd did. Floyd fought a completely different Canelo than Bud would fight. If Bud beats Canelo, that's a way more impressive. No disrespect for I think Floyd's a GOAT, but if Bud beats Canelo, that's a much more impressive win than Floyd beating Canelo. And Floyd beating Canelo is already impressive, but if Bud beats Canelo now, that's more impressive than the version of Canelo that that Floyd beat. First of all, Floyd fought him at 150, 152 or something like that, which is not a knock on him. He was still the smaller guy, and Floyd still outpointed him. He put on a master class, but that was not the same Canelo. Canelo has since been at all the way to 175. You see what I'm saying? And I could argue that Floyd beating Canelo's loss to Floyd was the best thing that happened in his career. Right? Because he started, I'm not saying that he wasn't getting better, he wasn't improving, but he definitely started looking at the game. You could see that he was approaching the game differently. He started implementing great head movement, because the way Floyd Mayweather was tagging that forehead. He started implementing, he was more judicious with his shots, more accurate and effective with his shots. He started putting more, what's the word I'm looking for? He was more deliberate with his pressure. So I think that Canelo is a much bigger version of Canelo, and a more seasoned version of Canelo, more refined version of Canelo. And also too, not even that, people, I don't even know why people just make the comparison because they're 2 smaller guys fighting a bigger guy. You have to look deeper than that. Floyd did not beat Canelo in a way that Crawford has demonstrated to beat anybody. That doesn't mean that you can't. Bomac is a great trainer. Terrence Crawford is a very capable fighter. I think he can do whatever he wants. But to assume that because Crawford is a small guy, like Floyd is a smaller guy, that he's gonna beat Canelo in the same way Floyd did. No one would beat Canelo in the fashion that Floyd did. Floyd sits in the pocket and he counter punches you to death, and he outpoints you, and he picks his shots, and he makes you miss. Crawford don't make you miss. Ask Madrimov. Crawford don't make you miss. Ask Errol Spence. Crawford don't make you miss. Ask Mean Machine Kavalauskas. Crawford don't make you miss. Ask Sean Porter. He just beats you up. He gets in a dog. He's a dog. That's what everybody says. He's a dog. They don't say he's a defensive mastermind. They don't say he's an evasive fighter. Floyd is an evasive fighter. So that's like saying that, Floyd and Manny Pacquiao both beat Ricky Hatton. Did they beat him in the same fashion? No, they both beat him, but they didn't beat him in the same way. Manny Pacquiao got Ricky Hatton out of there in 2 rounds. Floyd embarrassed Ricky Hatton and made him hit the turnbuckle in the 10th round. He check hooked him and made the man go head first into the turnbuckle like it was WWE. He looked like a goofy. They both beat him equally impressively, but they did not beat him in the same manner. There was the same result, but it was 2 completely different routes to get there. Even when they fought Miguel Cotto, did Floyd beat Miguel Cotto in the same fashion that Pacquiao beat Miguel Cotto? Did Floyd beat Juan Manuel Marquez in the same fashion that Manny Pacquiao beat or lost to Juan Manuel Marquez? So I think that's an extremely inaccurate comparison. The only thing that they have similar is that they're both black and they're both smaller. They're both great. You know what I'm saying? That's the only similarity that Floyd and Terrence Crawford have. They're both great, they both black, and they both smaller than Canelo. That's it. They fight completely differently. Y'all don't hear me? My mic's messed up? Oh, Lord. He said LS2, Zoo should try the Canelo fight. Oof. I don't think Zoo wants no problems, James. I think Canelo blows Zoo out the water. I ain't gonna lie. Because Canelo going to get all the hate for KO. Yeah, facts. I agree. That weight disparity may be too substantial. Yeah, exactly. It's not. That's why I gave the Roy Jones comparison. It's not like he's going up to fight. Like I said, no disrespect to Roy Jones. I think Roy Jones is phenomenal, right? I think at his prime, he's the epitome of a boxer. At his prime, he might be the prototypical boxer. If I'm playing a video game, you hear me? Okay, thank you. If I'm playing a video game, I'm making Roy Jones in his prime. But it's just that. You got to look at the totality of people's careers, and he started to fall off and stuff like that. But in his prime, I think Roy Jones may be the best fighter ever, and just in that small window of his prime. But he went up and fought John Ruiz. Why do you think he didn't go up and fight Lennox Lewis? Why do you think he didn't go up and fight I don't know who was a big heavyweight at the time, I don't know, Evander Holyfield or something like that. He went up and fought John Ruiz because John Ruiz stylistically, he knew that he could outpoint him, and you know, and John Ruiz was flat-footed, a slow guy that he could take advantage of. That's not diminishing the accomplishment, but it's just acknowledging the stylistic compatibility of their fighting styles. You know what I'm saying, and their of their fight game plans. And so I just think that the difference there is that John Ruiz wasn't an undisputed heavyweight champion. Canelo's an undisputed super middleweight champion. Canelo is an all-time great. So that's why I'm telling you that Canelo wasn't an all-time great when he fought Floyd. He became an all-time great. He had it in him, but it wasn't at the surface yet. It wasn't brought out yet. It wasn't shown yet and displayed yet, showcased yet, demonstrated yet. It's already been demonstrated. So even if you say Crawford is better, which I do think he's more skilled, the gap is not as substantial as the gap between their size, in my opinion. So I agree with Clone 1,000%. Predictions for Mbilli versus Derevyanchenko. Jonathan in the building. I got Mbilli, man. I got Mbilli by it's tough to say stoppage because Sergiy Derevyanchenko is a tough guy, right? But I got Mbilli by I'm gonna go with stoppage, man. I got Mbilli by late stoppage, but shout out to Teddy Atlas. Teddy Atlas has Derevyanchenko with the upset, and I think that's a good prediction too. I think I'm going out on a limb to saying Sergiy Derevyanchenko gets stopped, but I'm leaning towards the youth factor. I'm leaning towards the large volume of punches, the high frequency, the high frequency at which they come out. And, you know, they come out rapid fire, and I just think that youth and that determination is going to overwhelm them in the later rounds. But I could be wrong, though, because Sergiy Derevyanchenko, he had a great fight against Triple G, even though he lost. Some argued that he won. He had a great fight against Munguia. Some argued that he won that, too, despite him getting knocked down in the 12th round. I think that's what sealed it for Munguia. But, yeah, he said Floyd may not hurt him, but I think he had enough stank on his punches for, yeah, facts, exactly. Does Bud have that as well? I do think that Bud is stronger, but I don't think Bud will get clean shots like that. I think Bud's shots will come in an exchange. And even if he is countering him like he did Errol Spence, do you think that it will have the effect that it had on Errol Spence? I don't know. You know, now it could be, because I will say that Bud is a countering beast too, but he counters more so. He beats you to the punch. Floyd makes you miss and then counters. He like anticipates, and like what Errol Spence, like he'll jab and he'll shoot over Errol Spence's jab before he could retract it. You know what I'm saying? And clock him. So I think there's a different style. But I do think that Terrence Crawford at this point is stronger than has more pop in his punches than Floyd does. And I do think, what do we know, right? It's the punches that hurt you the most are the punches you don't see coming. So if Crawford does catch him while he's punching, Canelo will be more vulnerable, and we know that Crawford is a precise puncher as well. So that is, like I said, I think there's a path of victory for Bud. I just don't think it's as good as everybody, as a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people are saying. You know, and I don't think that you could point to the Floyd Mayweather. I think that has little to nothing to do with Terrence Crawford versus Canelo. I don't think Floyd and Canelo has anything to do with Crawford and Canelo, besides the fact that they're both smaller than Canelo, and they both black, and they both American. That's it. Yeah, but let me see. Who do you think wins that fight, Jonathan? Jesus Mano Ramos versus Virgil Ortiz? I like that fight. I like the young bull Ramos. I think Ramos should take his time a little bit, because remember he lost to Erickson Lubin, which some people thought was controversial. I thought Erickson Lubin won, but it was a good fight. But I think Ramos, he's only 23. I think they should slow him down a little bit. I don't like that fight for him. I don't think that's a good fight. I'm talking about, it's a good fight. It's a great fight. But I'm saying at this moment, I think Jesus Ramos could, you know what I'm saying? There's no, like, let him fight a Brian Mendoza. Well, sorry, he already beat Brian Mendoza. That was a bad example. Let him fight like somebody that's like a contender, or somebody that's known and a tough guy like a Brian Mendoza. But I don't think he should fight Virgil Ortiz right now. But I would watch it. But I think Jesus Ramos, I think he, you don't want to rush him, is what I'm saying. I think, and he could be going through that. I got Mbilli too, but it's going to be a tough fight. Yeah, facts. Because Sergiy might be washed, but he could still have a great fight like he did against Munguia. Yeah, I don't think he's washed. I think, I think he could get washed, but I don't think he's washed, man. I think he's still a very formidable, serviceable fighter. I just think that his championship days may be over with. But, yeah, he had a great fight against Triple G, came up short. Had a great fight against Munguia, came up short. He got dropped in the 12th round, and that's what you could argue he was winning. So Yeah, I think he can still have a great performance, but I think youth is going to prevail here. That exchange may be detrimental, but exactly, may end in him getting up off that canvas looking like Haney trying to find his. Bro, chill out, Haney, bro. Got that booty in the air. Hey, yo, had that butt in the air.
Yeah.
Pause.
What do you mean by that?
But he said, yeah, but that's my point though, because even if you point at Errol Spence, right, and those of you that watched Errol Spence, he got whooped, he got brutalized by Terrence Crawford. But shout out to Errol Spence for being a warrior, demonstrating a warrior, showcasing the fighting spirit that you want to see, no quit attitude. He kept getting up, but most importantly, when it comes to this fight, more relevance. The more relevant aspect of that fight is that as much as Errol Spence was getting beat up, he was getting to Terrence Crawford. He was getting to Terrence Crawford, especially like in the 7th round and 6th round and 7th round, if my memory serves me correctly. He was getting to Terrence Crawford. It's just that the only thing is that those punches weren't as impactful as we anticipated. That was it. It wasn't that he never got to Terrence Crawford. Go back and watch that fight again. Errol Spence got to Terrence Crawford. Everybody gets to Terrence Crawford. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying that's a compliment to Bud because he still overcomes. He has a dog in him. But when people compare that to Floyd's calling card is that you don't get to him. Terrence Crawford, it's never an issue to get to him. You see what I'm saying? That's not how he beats you. So when people just say that stuff, I'll be like, what do you want? Am I watching something different or is everybody else watching something different? Like, I don't know. Like, so like they're too stylistically, they're different. They're synonymous in the fact that, well, I think Floyd is greater, but they're synonymous or close to each other and relative in the fact that they're both great, but they do not have the same path to greatness. They do not have the same methodology to achieve greatness. But that's just me. That's just my thoughts on that. So yeah, Errol Spence gets to, you know what I'm saying? Terrence Crawford gets hit. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that he gets hit excessively, but he gets hit. David Avenetian got to him. So he has, that doesn't mean that he can't change his game plan, but what they say about dogs, he's a dog, right? What they say about dogs, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. So as soon as Terrence Crawford gets hit and gets hurt with a good shot, and even if he doesn't get hurt, let's say he gets hit, what's he gonna do? Like when Gamboa hit him, he turns into a dog. He mans up and he's like, okay, bet, let's get right to it. I'm gonna try to get that back. You mess around and get hit by Canelo and you try to get it back, oh, you gonna get something else. you gonna get back, way back. You know what I'm saying? You might get so much back, you might be on your back. Do you think Crawford could beat Janibek? I'm not gonna lie, man. I don't like Janibek, man. I thought Janibek was good. Let me answer your question. Do I think he could beat him? I'm gonna say no, but it's not because I think Janibek is so good. I think Janibek is a weight bully to the 15,000th degree. Anyhow, you miss weight to the point. I mean, anyhow you're fainting and falling out because you're trying to make weight, bro. Take your ass up to the 168, bro. Just go up to the higher weight division, bro. Like, what are we doing, man? Like, I think he should be stripped. I'm gonna be honest. It's not that I don't like. Let me not say. It's not that I don't like him. Let me retract that. It's not that I don't like him, but I was disappointed in him. I feel like I'm glad he's all right. Number one, I'm glad he's okay. You know, which I knew he would be okay, but you know, well, we never know. But you know, thank God he's okay. Don't wish bad on anybody. But I think that's ridiculous, bro. If you're dehydrating yourself so much that you're fainting and falling out, and you have the fight subsequently canceled, what about the dude that he was about to fight that was waiting for that check? You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you just fight for checks. You fight for legacy and stuff too. But we have to acknowledge as fans, which is what we don't often. Bro, these fighters fight to get paid. Everybody wants to get paid. Don't you work to get paid? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of them make a lot of sacrifices. A lot of them go a long time without getting paid. So I feel like when you, I think who is he fighting? Mikhailovich? I believe the guy's name was Mikhailovich. And he canceled the fight. The whole card could have been canceled because he was the headline. You know, but they bumped up. Who'd they bump up again? Who they bump up as an undercard to the main event? I don't remember. But the point is that was extremely unprofessional, extremely undisciplined, and I think it's a form of cowardice. I'm gonna be honest. I think like if you're killing yourself so much that you're fainting and have to be hospitalized because you're trying to make weight, bro, just move up to the weight class. If you don't want to move up to the weight class, I think it's because you don't trust in your skills to translate to the higher weight class or the weight class that you should probably be in or that's more appropriate for you. You know, so I feel like that's like, yeah, I lost respect for Janibek at that one. I thought that was corny. I think he should be stripped. But do I think Crawford could beat him? I'm gonna say no because I think that he should be at 168, probably 175. And then you falling out because you're trying to make weight is crazy. Janine K, not familiar with him. Has he been any notable contenders? Oh, Janet Beck. Let's read it. He's a champion at middleweight right now. Janet Beck. What's his last name? Akamali Alin Canelli. He's a good fighter. He's good. Don't get me wrong, but so yeah. I remember watching this fight against Denzel Bentley. I didn't see his. Did I see his last fight against Vincenzo? I might have seen his last fight too, but he did. I remember when he fought in Dom Giacomo. But yeah, those are I only seen him fight like 3 times. I remember the Denzel Bentley fight, the Hassan and Dom Giacomo fight, and then yeah, I think I only seen him fight 3 times. But yeah, I think he's good, but nah, man, you out here weight bullying to the point where you falling out, trying to make weight is crazy, bro. Just move up, bro. Just move up, bro. Just move up, dog. But I do think he's good. I don't think Crawford can beat him because I don't think that he's I think he should be fighting in super middleweight division. I always thought he was big though too, but then that just solidified it. So I take that back. Do I think he can beat him? Yeah, I think. Let me now think about. I think Terrence Crawford can beat him, but I don't like that fight because I think he's 168er. But I think Terrence Crawford can beat him, yes. But I don't like that fight though. So yeah, so I changed my mind again. I think Terrence Crawford can beat him. Will he beat him? I don't know, but I think he can. Yeah. What do you think? What do you think, Jonathan? Do you think he could beat him? But yeah, I think that I think Crawford, like I said, I think there is a path of victory for Crawford, but I think people are I don't think people are giving Canelo enough credit, and I don't understand that. Even if it's a good, but then again too, I will say this. I thought Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford was going to be a good fight. It definitely wasn't. So I thought it was going to be a 50-50 fight, you know. And I actually, you know, I tell people this all the time too. I think that Christian Mbilli, Archer Beterbiev and Dimitri Bivol, I think that's a 50-50 fight on paper, but I think it's going to be one-sided in that ring. I think it's going to be not as one-sided as Terrence Crawford and Canelo. Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, but I do think it's going to be one-sided, even though it's 50-50 on paper. I just don't know one-sided for who. I don't know who. Because I think, like I said, again, going into it, I think it's 50-50 fight. But I think either on fight night, Dimitri Bivol is just going to outclass him, or on fight night, Beterbiev is just going to run through him like a truck. So I don't think it's going to be like a back and forth, but I could be wrong. It could be like a Tyson Fury Alexander Usyk fight, which was great in the back and forth. It could be like a Serhiy Boachuk and a Vergil Ortiz fight, but I don't think so, man. But we'll see. It could be like Triple G and Canelo 1. Good morning, Left Hook Lazy in the building. Good morning, my brother. How you doing, man? But yeah, I think that there's a lot of fights that are good. There's a lot of fights that I want to see. I'm looking forward to the fights this weekend. Good Lord willing. I think everybody, this would be a good fight. So if you're unfamiliar with Christian Mbilli, I think you should watch this one. If you're unfamiliar with Sergiy Derevyanchenko, it's towards the end of his career, the latter portion of his career, but he's still a good fighter, man. So I think it's definitely worth the watch. And they got the up and comer Osleys Iglesias on that card, and they got the up and comer Abdullah Mason on that card. So I think it's gonna be a pretty good card, man. And then speaking of other news too, man, I just dropped a video on this too. Go check it out. Canelo apparently has his next fight already, according to Chris Eubank Jr. He's saying that Canelo may be taking a trip to Wembley to England, man, and fighting Chris Eubanks in 2025. Good Lord willing. He's saying that Chris Eubanks said that, yeah, man, I could potentially get the fight in May. He's saying that the reason why the fight fell through is because they were kind of rushing him to commit to the fight. And he was like, man, I don't want to rush to it. You know, I'm not a guy that rushes things. I like to take my time, and I'm not going just for money. I'm going to win the fight. And while I think I applaud him for standing 10 toes down, and because that's what you want to do. You want your fighter to go in there and win, right? And try to win. But I think that he's kind of, you're supposed to believe in yourself, so I'm not knocking it. But I think he's kind of fooling himself a little bit, because I don't care if he was patient. I don't care if he's impatient. I don't care if he's walking to the fight, running to the fight, sprinting to the fight. He going to sleep. So I don't think there's any preparation in the world that where Chris Eubank will beat Canelo Alvarez. But, you know, I do respect him taking his time. But I just feel like you don't want to, at least for him, in my opinion, from where I'm sitting. I know he's been a champion before, but he's not a champion now. He's never been undisputed. He doesn't have many accolades as far as top level boxing goes. So I just feel like, why does he feel he would have the leverage for that fight to happen? Because he stated that there's not too many people for Canelo to fight. Well, there's a lot of other people for him to fight besides Chris Eubank Jr. Now, Canelo, maybe he knows something I don't. You know, Canelo has, he said that Canelo has expressed desires to fight in England. So, you know, he better fight him in England, because if he fights that in America, no one's going to watch it. Because I don't want to see, I sure as hell don't want to see Canelo versus Eubanks. No offense to Eubank, but I don't want to see that fight. And you know, Cinnamon's one of my favorite fighters. I'll watch it because I like Cinnamon, but I think that fight is terrible. And I was saying that before, like, because they were talking about Chris Eubank, Berlanga, or William Skull as the three potential opponents for Canelo, until he settled on Edgar Berlanga, which I think is the best out of those three. Not saying that Edgar Berlanga is even a good matchup. I want to see Benavidez, of course, but Berlanga is much better than William Skull, who's relatively unknown, even though he's an IBF mandatory, and is better than Chris Eubanks. So if they were to fight, they would have to fight in England, in my personal opinion. But I will say this, though. I did hear from Canelo in this camp that they do have aspirations to fight abroad, but I heard that he wanted to fight in Japan. So I don't think he's too far off. Maybe he does want to, you know, Canelo's the face of boxing, right? He's already popular, but that will help when you fight in England or you fight in other countries, like Japan or somewhere else, Australia, Nigeria, Jamaica, wherever, Brazil. It's gonna build your renown for the people over there in that area, even locally, just to go and check you out and stuff like that. Even if it's just in their time zone, it's better for it to be televised. So I think that always helps your popularity and your renown. Even if you have a great popularity, it could just increase it even further. But I do think that when Chris Eubank, I think if you're Chris Eubanks, especially if you want the money, man, which is what you fight for, I don't know if you pass up on that opportunity. Yeah, I think if Canelo calls on you and you're Chris Eubank, you're not a mandatory, you're not a champion, you're not an undisputed champion, never been undisputed. So I don't know. I just don't see the incentive for Canelo to fight him. Besides Canelo just looking for an easy fight. Which could very much well be the case, but he seems very convinced that he's going to fight Canelo in May. So he, you know, I'm sure he knows more than I do in regards to that. But we'll see. Nobody wants to see Eubanks versus Canelo. Every time that fight's going to happen, it's a big fight. No, it's not. Nobody wants to see that, bro. I don't want to see that at all, under any circumstances. But you know, I'll watch it because I rock with, I like boxing, and so. But yeah, nobody wants to see that at all. So. I don't know why he thinks, but you know, I do believe him that Canelo and his team contacted him, but I think it was more so, which is what I feel like he's a little deluded in regards to. I think he's a little delusional and deluded in regards to the fact that Canelo probably wanted Eubank because there was probably no other option, but he's saying it like he was the first option, and I think that he's incorrect, but I could be wrong. But I could see why Canelo reached out to him to fight him, because you got to remember, he doesn't want to fight Benavidez for whatever reason, which I would love. I want to see Canelo versus Benavidez. He doesn't. I don't even think he should fight David Morrell, because David Morrell only has 11 fights. You know, he already fought Munguia. He already fought Caleb Plant. Jamal Charlo is inactive, right, due to mental health issues. So he's not there. So yeah, I think that Chris Eubank at the time was just a late replacement. And then, you know, he settled on Berlanga once Berlanga was available. And that's why I think that's how in my mind that went down. But in Chris Eubank's mind, he's saying that no, he was a sought after first option, and because he turned it down, that's why he went to Berlanga. So if that's the truth, then I can see why he thinks that fight will happen, and it probably could, but I hope it doesn't happen. But we'll see, man. Yeah, I dropped a video on that. Joint for real. So yes, sir, man. But yeah, man. Anything else y'all wanted to discuss? I'm probably getting ready to wrap up now. You know, get some food and. You know what I'm saying? Did a little short morning stream. You know, we get back here on at the 7 p.m. stream, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for our late evening stream. You know, we do two streams: the morning stream, morning show, and then the late show. Morning show's at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The late show's at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, he said Charlo ain't got no mental health issues. That just played against him You can't be going through a mental health situation and play a video game, bro. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. Let me find out he was cooking you, bro. Who won? Tell me I just played him in 2K. Yo, chill, bro. Oh boy said he ain't had no mental issues. I just played against him in 2K. Yeah, let me find out he was a two-way slash on your head top. Since you left the flow open, let's discuss Not Like Us. I still haven't heard Family Matters though. I just heard Not Like Us. Like what I say? Like a couple days ago, this past weekend. I still haven't heard Family Matters. Janet Beck, stop Crawford, be real. Janet Beck is a beast. What's up? What's up, Left Hook? He said, what's up with Teddy Atlas? So Teddy Atlas, he picked Mbilli. He picked Mbilli. Sorry. He picked against Mbilli. He picked Sergiy Derevyanchenko to beat Mbilli. I think he has a good reason, man. I disagree, but I think he has a good reason. Of course, which he's a great boxing mind, of course. I think I'm not mad at it, because like I said, I think that Mbilli and Munguia have similar styles, not the same, but very similar. Both high volume punches, throw punches in bunches. And Teddy Atlas said he's betting on the experience of Sergiy Derevyanchenko, the precision in his shots and his ability to counter, similar to what he did to Jaime Munguia. And I think that's a good prediction. I just think that Christian Mbilli wins. I think his youth and his fervor and his intensity and his high punch rate is going to overwhelm Sergiy Derevyanchenko, the older veteran fighter. I think he's going to wear him down. But we'll see. My boy Kendrick in the building. Big member. Big mod. He said Janet Beck is a beast. Yeah, he's a beast of a weight bully. I mean, obviously, anybody who falls out trying to make weight is a beast of a weight bully. I'm not sure how good he is anymore. I ain't talking about not like. I wonder if we'll ever see Teddy and Tyson kicking again. I know, right? Teddy and Tyson, Tyson and Teddy. Yep. I like Teddy Atlas, man. I think he's a great boxing mind. He's one of the few. I won't say few, but yeah, I'll say he's one of the few boxing analysts and experts that give Tank his proper credit, bro. Because Teddy Atlas don't care. He doesn't seem to care. Let me say, he doesn't seem to care about or be controlled by narratives people try to push about fighters being good or not being good. So yeah, shout out to Teddy Atlas. Teddy said he apologized for his statements on Tyson. Teddy said, hey, he saw that boy biting. He said that boy fighting and biting. I don't want no smoke. I don't want no smoke. Tank versus Matias. Matias doesn't deserve that fight, and Matias is at 140, right? Tank is at 135. Matias has to bounce back, right? But I would like that fight, yeah. I mean, but I don't think that's necessary now. Maybe back in the day, before he lost to Liam Paro. That's the thing about boxing, when you lose, it kind of changes things, right? I'm not saying not from an ability standpoint. It's just that he's just not as believable, right? Because they try to pitch him as a boogeyman, and he already lost to Petros Ananian, which he did avenge that loss to Petros Ananian, but he still he's still lost, and now he lost to Liam Paro, and I still would like to see Tank versus Subra Matias, Teofimo versus Subra Matias, Shakur versus Subra Matias, but it's definitely not going to be a priority now because, I think the fight that we should look forward to, that we should call for, that's a great fight, is Gary Antoine Russell versus Subra Matias. I've always said that, and now that they both lost, Gary Antoine Russell losing to Alberto Puello, relatively the same time. No, it was the same time because Subra Matias and Liam Paro fought on the same day as Tank versus Frank and Benavidez versus Vazdig, right? Yeah, that was the same day. So they literally lost on the same day. Subra Matias lost to Liam Paro. Gary Antoine Russell lost to Alberto Puello. I think that's a good fight. And they both in the same position. They both trying to bounce back. They both lost. Close fights. And yeah, I think that's a great fight. Rayo versus Paro. Hey, I like that. I like Rayo versus Paro. Rayo versus Teofimo. I don't think Teofimo is going to fight Rayo. But yeah, what about Frank? I like Frank versus Haney. I like that. I heard that Frank Martin's talking about moving to 140. If that's true, that's going to make 140 even more interesting. Frank the Ghost Martin, I think he's going to bounce back and be better as well. I think he's going to bounce back from that loss to Tank. Because I think similarly to Munguia, like Munguia, when you fight an all-time great and you lose, like what Floyd did against, what Canelo did against Floyd, I think you have an opportunity to learn the most, and get the most experience and utilize that L, turn that L from being a loss to a learning experience, go from losing to learning. And I think that if he could do that, I think Frank Martin could bounce back, man, because losing to Tank is great. And look what Isaac Pitbull Cruz did. He lost a Tank, and he carried that momentum into a championship at 140. Mario Barrios lost a Tank, and he carried that momentum into a championship at 147. So there's been fighters that have been proven to even if they don't necessarily get better, when they lose to Tank, it's not indicative of them being bad. It's just indicative of Tank being that good. You know what I'm saying? Just because you lose to Tank don't mean you can't beat everybody else. But yeah, so I think that I would love to see Rayo versus Paro. I would like to see any of the 140-pound champions fight. Tank is gonna be 35 for a long time. I don't think he's moving up. Now, I think he might, like, for example, if Isaac Cruz stayed at 140, I think he might have went up to 140, got a belt, and then came back down, similar to what he did with Mario Barrios. But Tank is one of the few ones, him and Pitbull Cruz are one of the few that are naturally 135. Like, I don't think Shakur's going to be at 135 for too much longer. He's young. He's, 26? I think he's going to be at 140 within a year or two. Probably now. I think within a year and a half, he's going to be at 140. I think, obviously Devin Haney already made that transition to 140. Teofimo already made that transition to 140 with Devin Haney and Teofimo talking about going to 147. Ryan Garcia, he never ever made 140, right? Because even when he fought Oscar Duarte, he came in at 143. So he was too big for that division as well. So like the top guys at 135 probably aren't the only ones going to be there, and then Lomachenko, he's not in the mood to fight, right? So guys at 135 that Tank is fighting, they're just passing through. Tank is 5'5", so he belongs at 135. Isaac Pitbull Cruz is 5'4". Like I said, not saying that height is everything, but if he shows you and tells you that he can make 130, it's not like he was like Tank that was like fatter and out of shape. He's more in shape now. So I think that when Leonard Ellaby and Coach Kenny Ellis, and who's Tank's coach, and Coach Calvin Ford, and even Tank himself comes out and says that they can make 130, I believe him, because I don't think that 135 is a struggle. Even look at the weigh-ins and stuff. Look at the weigh-ins and look at the fight press conferences. Frank Martin looked drained. Tank don't look drained. He looks like, as a fighter should, that's trying to make weight, but he doesn't look like he's lacking energy. Or look at Devin Haney. He doesn't, he looks drained. Even Ryan Garcia, when he fought Tank, he looked drained. They don't look drained. He doesn't look drained. Martin got slipped out. Yeah, yo, that's all the crazy. Now you're going to fight. He's going to fight TJ Doheny, LS2. He's fighting TJ Doheny in, I don't remember the date. Let me look up the date. I don't remember the date for Naya Inoue and TJ Doheny. I think that fight is terrible. But I'm gonna watch it because I like Naya Inoue. But I don't like that fight at all. I don't think that's gonna change. For me, he's number 3 in pound for pound, and him beating TJ Doheny is not gonna change that for me. I had him number 2. I had Usyk number 1, Naya Inoue number 2, and Terrence Crawford number 3 up until this past Saturday, or 2 weeks ago Saturday, because Terrence Crawford was inactive, and Naya Inoue is very active. Shout out to him. I love that. But Terrence Crawford, now he came back and he got another championship against an undefeated fighter in his debut at 154. So I got him up there. Hold on, y'all. Yo, it's your boy Doc again. I know you're sitting there like, did this Doc just run his own commercial? Yes. Yes, I did. In the middle of the street, we run our own ads. That's what we do right here. So when you see other boxing channels implement the same idea, I don't mind people biting us. But dang, at least give us some credit. So those of you that are rocking with me, you're already a part of the best boxing channel on YouTube.
That's a fact, ain't it? Ain't it? All right, then.
You already caught up. Those that don't know, the rest of the world, they just got to catch up, baby. You know, and they eventually will, you know, because we bring y'all unfiltered, unbiased, raw, and educated and funny boxing takes, man, with accurate information. Can they all say the same? Of course they can. So let's get right to it, man. Why do you want to become a member of this channel? Because we already told you we're the best, but it does come along with perks, you know what I'm saying? First off, you can join at the Streets Gang prospect level. You know, it's only $2.99. I know times is rough right now, but you can still contribute. You know what I'm saying? And what do you get? You get member shout outs like this. Shout out to my boy Kendrick for being the first Street Gang prospect member, you know what I'm saying? And then we go to the next one, Streets Gang contender. That's the second tier of membership level, you know, and it comes in at $4.99, and you get all the perks of the previous tier like this. Shout out to my boy Merle the Legend, who is our first member at the Streets Gang contender level. Big salute to him. In addition to that, you get members only polls. You get to be involved in that, and you get to connect with me, your boy, on social media, and I follow you back, you know what I'm saying? It's all love for my brothers and sisters out there.
But wait, there's more.
And then if you really want to hold it down for your boy, you can come in with a belt at the Streets Gang champion level, man. That's $8.99. That's a lot of love. So you get all the perks of the two previous tiers. We don't have anybody at that tier yet. But then not only that, you get to plug in your own social media to have people follow you, and you get to pick the topic of discussion, because you know our discussions are always fire. You know what I'm saying? Fire. So I appreciate y'all showing love. But in addition to showing support, outside of being a member, you also get shout outs like this. Smoochie in the building. You know what I'm saying? Smoochie be showing love with the super chat. And you get a shout out like this. Spaniard holding it down in the building. You know, because Spaniard be holding it down. And Tyrone James holding it down in the building. Yeah, you might say they corny, but I gotta show my boys and my girls, my brothers and sisters, the kings and queens out there to love. So that is an ad. That's it. Y'all holding it down for me. And you get to feed my boys up here. You know, Kimba, Bed, and Float all in the clouds. We be hungry, you know what I'm saying? Y'all be holding it down for me. So I really appreciate the support. Let's get back to regularly scheduled programming. Peace. I said programming. Programming. Yeah. All right, my bad. I'm here. So he's fighting TJ Doheny. Like I said, I think that TJ Doheny doesn't do anything to move him anywhere in the pound for pound list. But I mean, it's still top 3 though. So whether you have, I think Terrence Crawford, Naoya Inoue, and Usyk are interchangeable. So whatever order you have is okay. But I think Terrence Crawford is number 1 for me personally, right now. But Usyk, you know, first undisputed heavyweight in a quarter century. 25 years? Come on now. Martin got slapped out. I know what you meant. Yeah, slipped out sounded like a pause. I ain't gonna lie. When you said slipped out, I was like, hold on.
What do you mean by that?
Frank at 140, you think he has the power or the chin at 140? I think he does. Can't judge Frank's chin based on the Tank fight. I agree, Kendrick. I agree. True, but if he can't handle that power, we'll be able to handle power from bigger opponents. Tank hits harder than anyone. I agree with that too. I think Tank hits harder than anyone at 140. Yeah, so I don't think that'll be a problem. You think he hit harder than the current champions as well? He did beat Bar. Yeah, I think I think he hits harder because the current champions are who, clone? At 140 is Teofimo. I think Tank is a better overall fighter, but he's stronger, has more power, more one-shot power, and he's more accurate. I think he hits harder than Liam Paro. I definitely think he hits harder than Alberto Puello, and I think he hits harder than Rayo. Rayo has power though, but I think Frank Martin beats Rayo. So those are the 4 champions. So yeah, in my opinion, I think Frank Martin is I think he'll be fine as far as handling the power. Yeah, I agree, Kendrick. I think Tank may hit comparable to guys at 147. Yeah, Rayo got some stank on it though, right? Ryan, I think let's look. I think Rayo has some. Rayo has a pretty good knockout percentage. I want to say it's 70 plus. Even with the going the distance with Isak. Nah, okay, I was wrong. 65%, 64% KO rate. So Rayo has good power, but yeah, I don't think I wouldn't. I feel like to me a knockout artist is like 70, 75 plus. So yeah, no, you're right. But he only had 16 fights too. So before this last win, he was 13-2 with 9 KOs. He was 13-2 with 9 KOs. So it was close. It was close to 70% before his last one. Duarte versus Paro. Oscar Duarte? No, I don't. I think Paro or Teofimo beat Oscar Duarte. Oscar Duarte is decent though. He's not bad. But I think that I don't think he beats. You think that's a good fight, LS2? Duarte and Paro or Teofimo? Yeah, y'all right. Once Tank cleans up 135, I like to see him get. Yeah, me too. But I don't know if he's. I don't know, man. I'm not sure if that's the goal. You know, like I know Lomachenko. I think that while I do know he was trying to fight Lomachenko, I do know they were saying that he wanted to fight Shakur, and those are champions. But I don't know if he wanted to fight them because they're champions, or he just wanted to fight them because they're them and they're good opponents. You see what I'm saying? It just 135 is just coincidentally that all the champions are great opponents, except for Dennis Berinchyk is not really known. I'm talking about known. Our known opponents are notable opponents. But I'm not sure if Tank is trying to unify or go undisputed, or if he's going like the Floyd Mayweather route or the Pacquiao route, where he's not really caring about unifying and going undisputed, but he more so just cares about beating other champions and other notable guys. Because yes, Lomachenko is a champion. He tried to fight him. Shakur is a champion. He said he wanted to fight him. But they're also both notable guys too. So to me, it's not clear if he wants to go for wants to unify or get undisputed, or if he's just knocking out the guys that are most notable. Which is there's nothing wrong with either way, because like I said, there's multiple paths to greatness, right? There's multiple ways to skin the cat. Floyd has never been undisputed. You can't argue that he's not great. Pacquiao has never been undisputed. You can't argue that he's not great. Those are two of the arguable GOATs right there. They could both be in the GOAT debate. Terrence Crawford hasn't beat as many champions and Inoue hasn't beat as many champions as Floyd and Pacquiao, or been through as many divisions, but they've both been undisputed. So there's different paths to greatness. You know what I'm saying? Look at B-Hop. B-Hop's an executioner, right? The majority of his career he spent at middleweight. He had the most successful middleweight division. He had the most successful title defenses at middleweight division. And then Triple G does now. He has with 20, he had it, and then Triple G broke it with 22. So you could stay at one weight class and just dominate that weight class, still be great too. So I don't know. We'll see what he does. I do remember on $1 Million Worth of Game, Tank was saying he only has a few fights left. He wanted to just talking about 7 fights or something like that. Yeah, Ryo is the closest. Is the closest. That's why I said most. Nah, you're right. Yeah, no, you're right, Kendra. I had to look it up. Look up his knockout percentage. You're absolutely right about that. So he probably will just stay at 135. Yeah, I think I wouldn't be mad at that. I mean, of course, I would like to see him. I still want to see Teofimo and Tank. I want to see Shakur and Tank. I want to see Shakur and Haney. I want to see Haney and Teofimo. I want to see Teofimo and Tank. I want to see, what I'm saying? I want to see all these guys fight, but I don't know if it's realistic, man. It should be realistic, right? There's no reason for it not to be realistic. I just don't know. I just don't know if it happens, man. But chat, I'm gonna go ahead and call it on that note, man. I'm gonna go take care of these dogs real quick. Yeah, I'm gonna go take care of my dogs, man, and go check out the last video. We dropped a video on Canelo and Eubanks, and I'll probably be back on. Not probably. I'll be back on at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know how it goes for the late show. And I appreciate y'all rocking me as always, man. Hey, and also join the Discord, man. Join the Discord so then you can also drop topics, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you're a member. I prioritize the ideas of the members first. But yeah, join the Discord, and if you have any topic you want to talk about or discuss, I might start putting posts on YouTube or in the Discord about topics that people want to discuss, and we could talk about it beforehand, so I could try to shape the show or cater the show topics to those suggestions. Left Foot says, well, Haney will never fight at 135. We know that. Yeah. So I don't think those fights will happen anymore. Well, I can still see, like I said, I can still see Tank fighting Haney at a catchweight. You know what I'm saying? I'm not catchweight, but like make an exception. That's why I said I don't know if Tank wants to clear out, has intentions to clear out the division, or if he's just fighting notable opponents. Like, for example, I think he would have fought Esau Pitbull Cruz if Pitbull would have stayed a champion at 140. And that don't mean he's gonna stay at 140, but he could have moved up to 140 just to fight Pitbull, just like he did with Mario Barrios. Or he could still go fight Rayo at 140 because he's a champion, because he was talking about fighting Rayo anyway before he became a champion and beat Cruz. If you remember, before he fought Frank Martin, Rayo was one of the names that was thrown out there for Tank to fight. So but then he went with Frank the Ghost Martin. And so I could see him going to 140, fighting him, and then going right back to 135. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of implementing like a Floyd game plan or methodology. Damn, you running from that Not Like Us smoke. That's nah, bro, because you gotta hop in the stream, man. You gotta hop in the stream if we gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? You gotta hop in the Discord, bro, because I want to hear y'all talk so I can laugh. Because I know Kendrick gonna be on my head top. You know his name is Kendrick, so you know he gonna be on my head top by default. It's like he probably feels not just entitled, but he probably feels obligated to be on my head top in defense of his name. You know, yo, my boy Ty in the building. Big Mod in the building. Borzoi in the building. Borzoi says, I still maintain my position of preferring Valenzuela versus Sims or Edwin. I'm not mad at that. Teofimo is under top rank, and that circus takes care of itself. But these talented boxers need shots. Teofimo can face Broner. You want to get Broner beat? well, Broner is 147. I think the old Broner, but this Broner that got his tooth knocked out, man, I think Teofimo wins that. But yeah, I'm not mad at that, Borzoi. Valenzuela versus Sims. Kenneth, yeah, you did say that. Or Edwin. Me personally, and no disrespect to Sims, I would like to see Kenneth Sims get a chance. Like you said, I'm with you on that. We're in concurrence on that. But I would like to see that Edwin De Los Santos and Valenzuela rematch too. I like to see that a little more, man. Because let's see, what Edwin De Los Santos, they exchanged knockdowns. Like I think Edwin De Los Santos was dropped once, right? And Valenzuela was dropped 2 or 3 times. So yeah, I'm with you on that though. But I would like to see Edwin De Los Santos rematch more. You want Broner? Yeah, he don't like Broner, boy. But in his defense, Teofimo would be moving up to 147. So, and I'm not gonna sleep on Broner, but at the same time, what I last seen of Broner is like, I don't know if that would behoove him to do that. But yeah, man, don't forget to like the video. Man. But I'm out, man. I appreciate y'all rocking with me as always. Remember, with God, we can do anything. Without God, we're nothing. Like the video, but most importantly, remember the former, man. Be happy, praise God, and get money. Peace. The doctor's out.
From the hood to college, both worlds they had to meet. 6 degrees between us, so cold we're about to freeze. But we're Florida boys, hot takes, we bring the heat. We're moving the culture, the engineers to the streets.